defense has kind of been the Achilles heel for Michigan all season, except lately. They've kind of figured it out, and that's probably why they're here and facing off against top-ranked Boston College tomorrow night.
As Michigan's figured it out, and then, of course, Denver. I mean, Denver did not play anything close to a 2-1 game all year, and Denver played 2 of them in Springfield in order to advance here to St. Paul. They won 2-1 double overtime, and then 2-1 game that followed it. So it seems like Denver's kind of figured
incidentally,
it out.
Anytime a team wins a 2-1 game in the NCAA tournament, Scott Sandelin gets a royalty now somehow, because that was his MO. That's how he won his two most recent championships. Is just lock it down, win 2-1. You know, it's not exciting, but lifting a trophy is always fun. He will tell you.
Absolutely, there's no substitute for that. No doubt about that. Great venue, as you mentioned. Just there's a number of BU fans here, and I have been espousing the theory of the third time will be the charm potentially for BU, because the first 2 times have been far from charming for BU. Need we remember here, people of a certain age, BU 1991, triple overtime.
I think that game actually is still going on. I think they're still.
I bumped into Rick Comley on the way in, and he and Jack Parker were going to flip to see who's going to defend which goal for the next period, right? The game that never ended, and of course, it did end with Northern Michigan winning the national championship against BU.
So one of the great stories, I mean, and I'm old. This is my 31st Frozen Four. Yeah, that was my second
He's
Frozen
talking
Four.
About being old. I get a kick out of that.
That one, you know, it goes on and on and on. And the winning goal, Daryl Plandowski, who scored the game winner for Northern Michigan, we asked him to describe the winning goal after the game, and he said, I went to the side of the net. I got a nice pass. The whole net was open. I decided to shoot it in. Great line. And Rick Comley, without missing a beat, says, good decision.
Good decision.
I commend your decision making.
We could have got out of here a lot sooner, right? Exactly. You finally decided.
And then, of course, the other quote, and I hate to bring up a bad memory for BU fans.
Okay. Yep.
Championship game in '94. They're playing a Lake Superior State team. It's 6-1 Lake State after the second period. Okay,
that's right.
Final score is 9-1, and we asked Jack Parker after the game. Someone said, "Are you angry at your team?" He said, "No, I had the entire third period to get over it."
That wasn't really an issue.
No, there was not a lot of drama in that one.
No, that the drama was gone. Was kind of sucked out of that really early. So BU has certainly had their struggles here in St. Paul in the 1991 and 94, 30 years ago. They were here for the last time with the glass boards. Nobody's been able to explain the glass boards, Jess. Does anybody know, and I'll take this to the audience here with any Minnesotans in the audience, why the St. Paul Auditorium had the glass boards? If anybody has an answer for that, I don't know, because it was the only rink in the world, I think, that had the glass boards. It wasn't like they had them in Europe.
There were 2 arenas on the planet that had the clear boards.
Okay.
St. Paul Civic Center.
Yes.
God rest its soul.
Yes.
Sapporo, Japan, where they had the 1972 Winter Olympics, had clear boards.
Well, I should have remembered that because
similar
I remember watching the 72
similar to
Olympics.
Cooperalls. I think it just kind of came and went.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. They were gone very quickly. David Letterman would say in a cab. They were gone quickly. Yes. Disappeared down Broadway, if you will. Once again, we remind you, AlcaChino, our presenting sponsor of Hockey on Campus all season long. AlcaChino premium boozy lattes, real ingredients, real spirits, because coffee is the new buzz. And you can sample an AlcaChino cocktail here. We've got a couple of specialty cocktails with Greg Howard of Howie's Spiked Beverages. The matchups, I think, are very compelling. I think we all agree. Once again, 4 teams that for the top 4 offensive teams in the nation will probably get to 2-1 games tomorrow, right? With 4 top offensive teams. But on paper, you got teams that can seriously create skill, speed, pace. I mean, I think you're going to see some hockey played here. I think it's going to be less lockdown. You get teams get a lead, they're going to probably lock it down. But in terms of the way these teams want to play, I think you got 4 teams that all want to play at a pace, which is a real breath of fresh air. And
you talk about blue blood programs too. I mean, somebody said, I think combined there are like 27 national championships between these 4 teams. I mean, that's just an outstanding number. I mean, I'm all for seeing a team win it for the first time because there's nothing as magical as that. You know, we saw that last year with Quinnipiac and that, miraculous comeback they made and did what they had to do. But you really are seeing the cream of the crop in college hockey.
Yep.
Michigan is the only non-number 1 seed that got here. And, no, as a friend told me this week, nobody's going to buy the University of Michigan as a plucky underdog tomorrow night. That's not going to sit well with many college hockey minds or sports minds in any regard.
No, absolutely far from it, and always seems to be the case with Michigan. Mike McMahon is here from College Hockey News. Just got his food. We just have him say hello before he missed lunch today.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was bad. Mike McMahon, folks, I'm sure you know Mike McMahon from College Hockey News. Many of these people may be subscribers to Mike McMahon. And you can give a shameless plug there for people that can now subscribe. Mike, go ahead.
Just go right to collegehockeynews.com. It's the best way you can find all of our stuff.
All the stuff there.
We had 4 notebooks today, 1 on each team. So
it's the coverage is absolutely, it's the dedication of the College Hockey News staff year in and year out is remarkable. I mean, you guys are just cranking it out. The content is outstanding. If you follow it, you should be following it. If you're a college hockey aficionado, we highly recommend. And the way it's covered, I mean, how many staff members here?
We've got 5 of us, I think, right? Total? And well, 7 if you include photographers.
Okay, so yeah, it's covered, and it's the same every year in terms of how relentless you guys are in pursuit of what's happening. And Mike, of course, it's never. I mean, you can get situations. I think back to years where you've had. I remember in Albany back in '92, you had 4 Western teams in Albany, so you never know what you're going to get in these situations. I mean, you had a national championship game back in 1999 where UNH and Maine. They took their border war. Why don't we go play in Anaheim and decide the national championship? 3,000 miles across the country. But in this case, once again, Minnesota defeated. So, as just pointed out, but you've got the potential for a Boston University, Boston College. I mean, dare we say it? We could get the green line. We could. I mean, everybody in the country could see just what Family Feud is all about, Boston style, on Saturday. So, lock the kids up and your daughters up and everybody else. And triple the security.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I mean, and those teams have had some unbelievable games over the course of the year so far. I think selfishly, having seen them both play a lot this year, it'd be fun to see them play again. Mm-hmm. But at the same time,
you talked to my cardiologist, Mike.
No, I was going to ask. I know earlier in the year you were. I think you had him with you. He was in the booth with you, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. He's on call and. Great expense to fly him out here, as a matter of fact.
Just in case.
Just in case, exactly.
Better safe than sorry.
I'd hate to expire like my library card or something, But we've got obviously that possibility. But when you look at it, and the fact that is just brought up, you've got, I mean, the symmetry here, the perfect storm, if you will. You got the 2 teams that are now in a flat-footed tie for the most national championships, with Denver and Michigan, each winning 9. And then you got BU and BC deadlocked at 5. I mean, there's just a lot of great subplots to all that we're going to see tomorrow and then on to Saturday. I mean, let's say compelling is the word. I hate the word interesting. Yeah, I like compelling.
Yeah, well, it's very compelling. Yeah, I think for sure, right? Just those mini storylines on top of the players. I mean, we talked a lot today with coaches and other people about just the fact that you've got so many high NHL picks or potential NHL picks that are going to be in this game. I mean, it was the biggest ratings I think ESPN's had for the Frozen Four last year ever. And this, I would imagine, with the caliber of program you have here and the caliber of players you have here and some of those other storylines, you have the chance to probably top that.
What is the number? You guys, Adam Woden now is joining us, the managing editor of College Hockey News. Adam Woden, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
With good correspondent Mike McMahon. What is the total number? I'm not a math guy, believe me. Total number of draft picks between the 4 teams. You guys got the total on that?
I do, but not in front of me. So
okay.
Do you have it in front of you?
I don't.
No. Let's see. Well, it's probably approaching 40.
40, yep.
I would imagine.
Yep.
Right? It's got to maybe more.
Yep.
How many does BU have? 14?
I think BU's got 14. James, does that
BC's
sound right?
Probably got similar.
Yep. 13 or 14 for
I would
BC.
say the teams are probably averaging 14, or 12. Denver, I don't know. Denver doesn't have the high first-round guys, but they have a lot of second, third, fourth, that kind of thing. So they always have a lot, but not like the absolute, blue chippers that the other schools have. But that doesn't stop them.
No,
from winning.
not at all.
So
that doesn't prevent them from winning recently. And with what they've done, I always talk about it's great to have a second, third, or fourth-round pick because they might stay 2, 3, or 4 years. Is what I always look at, as opposed to the one and done and first rounder. And
49 is the number.
40. Thank you, Mike. Mike's
49.
always got the numbers.
So it's averaging
49 draft
11.25. No, 12.25. Sorry.
Per team, 12.25 per team. So 49 draft picks will be on display tomorrow. 49 NHL draft picks among the 4. And let me go out on a limb and say that I think that Macklin Celebrini will be drafted.
That's a good point.
To make it 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's not old enough to drive, I think, at this point, but I think he will be maybe make it
I don't
50.
know. It's on the fence.
Yeah, and that defenseman from Denver is probably going to be drafted also.
You know,
He's got a shot.
I mean,
He's got a chance.
if his agent does some work for him.
Yeah.
Exactly. try to lobby a little bit. Try to make a case for him. Exactly. And,
Yeah.
But seriously, we got, I think, some great matchups, and in terms of the entertainment value and the level of skill that we're going to have on display, I think is going to be just absolutely off the charts at a high level. And as far as you guys covering this all season, I think I went back and looked, and you'd have to verify this for me, but 1, 2, 3. I mean, a lot of people had BU number 1 preseason, and a lot of people, well, BU and BC were 1 and 2 in Hockey East, and Denver was rated very highly. And you've got Michigan. Hail to the victors. You got Michigan, and you got that might be our first special guest. Would you like to come on and say hello? You know, it's like the Ed Sullivan Show. What celebrities do we have out there?
I think it's like the Jerry Lewis telethon.
I think it was Mickey Mantle is in the audience, folks. He got 4 hits today at the stadium.
I was in the audience today and saw that guy Betts. I don't think he's going to be that good.
Yeah, I hear he's an infielder now.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't need a shortstop, so
No, we don't need a shortstop. What would we do with him? Where would we play him?
anywhere he wants.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, it's not me doing my Jack Parker impression. This is the real Jack Parker.
How do we know that?
Coach, well, no, I was going to say, is it live or is it Memorex there, right?
Or as Mike Eruzione says, who did you used to be, Jack?
That's exactly. Now he's just Shane LaChance's grandfather. That's all you're known as right now. Coach, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you stop in. A lot of
you actually do have a job, which is surprising.
I'm
surprised.
The two of us, what have we aspired to, Coach, collectively? To never have worked a day in our lives.
I have successfully avoided work all my life.
And you have. And as you always said, BU gave you three squares
and a hideout.
Exactly.
Like
you guys have been doing this routine for like 40 years.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. No shit.
We're like Trammell and Whitaker at this point. Yeah, we know who each other is around the back.
I was thinking Abbott and Costello.
Maybe Abbott and Costello. Exactly. Who's on first? What's on second? Coach, we were just talking about BU's history here in St. Paul. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
3 times the charm is what I've been telling everybody, because 91 and 94 were, you couldn't have lost in 2 more different ways. The range of human emotions.
Yeah.
But both results were the same and were difficult to swallow.
94 got us to win the championship in 95, I think.
The impetus,
Getting embarrassed like we did in the championship game after playing so well for those previous games up to it, beating all the brand name hockey teams and then losing like we did. We won it the next year. It was almost like we had to win it to redeem ourselves. 91, I never get over. I remember seeing Tony Amonte about 3 years later in Boston. He came in with the Hawks on a Wednesday. They were playing the Bruins on Thursday. And he was at T. Anthony's. And I sat down and I said, Tony, that time the Globe used to put on the
top scorers.
Wednesday's top scorers in the NHL for every team. I said, Tony, I just looked at the Globe this morning. You're leading the Hawks in scoring. Kachuk is leading Winnipeg in scoring. McEachran is the second leading scorer in Pittsburgh. How the hell did we not win the championship? He looks to me dead serious and says, Coach, we got 7.
Yeah, that's right. 7 should be. That's right. This should be enough. Exactly.
Tell them they needed to back check, I guess. I don't know.
I was changing the goalies on the fly that night. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that game took on more than a life of its own.
Oh.
I tell people about that game, and they think I make up most of the stuff anyway. But the fact, up 3-0, down 7-4, and then 7-7 with 39 seconds left.
Yeah.
Your future son-in-law made a pretty good play to get that puck to David Sacco,
yeah,
too.
I was just going to say, and then David Sacco did a pretty nice play to finish it off.
And he buried it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Nick Bonino a few years later.
In any event, it was they were a great game, and that was a cool building at the time, with the see-through boards. And
did you like that, Coach?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, unique aspect.
For the farther back you go, Coach, we love all the nostalgia. I love the history of it. But the 2009 championship obviously is a little bit closer.
Yeah.
It's getting farther in the rearview mirror. This is my
15 years.
But what are your feelings when you think of that compared to some of those other ones? Because I don't think we talk about that one as much.
Yeah, well, that was an unbelievable game. It was.
Yeah.
You can only say we were very fortunate to win that game. You don't come back from 2 goals down with a minute to go. So it was, in fact, in 91 we came back from 3 goals down, and then we lost it in overtime.
Right.
So, sometimes it pans out the right way for us. But
And now Colby's a rock star.
Colby in his own mind, anyways, that's for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Colby thinks there's only 2 cool guys in the world, and he's both of them. But he's always referred to as GWG, the game-winning goal.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
I always remind him that he was like the least talented of the 6 defensemen that you had.
Oh, I don't know about that. He was a very, very good player.
I know.
Pretty offensively skilled.
As
that's
far
for
as
sure.
NHL games
You know
are
what he was great
concerned,
at,
anyway.
too? People had no idea. He was an unbelievable penalty killer because he could go back and get the puck when they dumped it in. He could go back and have 3 guys draped on him, and he could just pick it up, and he was so strong in his forehead, boom, he'd get it out right away.
Yeah.
Just lift it
I got to go to meal. I'm not,
I was going to say,
if it's free, it's me. I'm going to the meal.
this is like the king of comedy. Jerry, I got a bus to catch.
Sorry to take your headset. You don't worry because you're eating.
Coach. Thanks for joining us, Coach. Appreciate it. Jack Parker, ladies and gentlemen. Monster University Coach Emeritus. Accompanied by Brian DeRosa. Thank you, Brian.
Brian DeRosa,
National
the
championship goalie, Brian DeRosa. BU 1978.
long-time women's coach.
And a long-time women's coach. Just retired a year ago. Was our first of our special guests here. Jack didn't bring a clip. I thought he was going to plug something. I don't know. I think he's got a movie coming up. But yeah, Jack, now it's come all that way. You win 897 games, and now I'm just Shane LeChance's grandfather.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Jack never got to play on the same line with Macklin Celebrini. You know? That's why Shane is creeping up on the all-time list. He's going to catch his grandfather soon enough. But great to see the coach stop by on his way to dinner. And with other special guests, I'm sure, as the night unfolds here at Zamboni's. And once again, Zamboni's this night and Hockey on Campus presented by, we got a press conference here. Jess is putting on his War Road jersey. Another general,
So you're in the state of hockey. We had to represent Hockeytown, USA.
which was War Road this year.
War Road
Your
Warriors.
hometown.
Yeah, my hometown.
Your hometown, Bruce Springsteen.
And there is a War Road connection in the Frozen Four. There's no Minnesota team here.
Okay.
But freshman Emmett Marvin from War Road, Minnesota, is one of the student managers for the BC team. I talked to him today. Great kid. His dad told me back in September he bought a suite at XL Energy Center just in case the Eagles got here. So War Road will be in the house at some level tomorrow night.
And it was and he's Mr. Marvin Windows, correct?
Marvin Windows,
They're
yeah,
not
good-
a sponsor, but I just mentioned them.
Yeah, well, let's give them a nice plug too.
Good shame.
Great employer in northern Minnesota for years and years. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Tell Emmett to write me a check.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Care of
Yeah.
my offshore account.
Benefactor, or something like that.
That's a special benefactor.
He's going to endow a chair. I don't even know how you do that. I know how to reupholster one, but
Could you please address the chair? That's right.
exactly.
Well, to tell you, in sharp contrast, I got to be remiss if I didn't mention, in sharp contrast to Boston University's history here. If you're a Harvard fan, you love the Clairboards.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
won national championship in 1989, and you beat Minnesota in their backyard. To win the national championship in 1989 with a puck that people have said that still hasn't crossed the line. Right? Every time I seen Ed Crair, it's like, Ed, did that actually get across the line? I don't think he put enough on it, but
Rob
yeah.
Stauber and Lane McDonald facing off head-to-head. Both of them Hobie winners.
yes, both of them Hobie
and
winners.
Lane McDonald can't do anything, and then some guy named Ed Crayer scores the
Eddie
winning
Crayer.
goal. I mean, this is how the hockey gods kind of laugh at you sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely the case.
And Chucky Hughes, the goalie for Harvard, who
That's
I know,
right.
I know you know. He's
I
worked
do.
in Harvard. He's in college admissions. Still has
Road to college, his company.
one of the great quotes, because Randy Scarda from the Gophers hits iron one of the first shots of overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk to Minnesota fans, that's as legendary as Gary Anderson missing one kick all year and, costing the Vikings a trip to the Super Bowl. Randy Scarda hitting the post in overtime of the national championship game. But we asked Chucky Hughes after the game, first minute of OT, Minnesota hits the pipe. What'd you think when you heard that clank? He said, well, I knew it wasn't going in. Perfectly brash East Coast Harvard kid.
You ask a Catholic Memorial guy whose father was a Boston cop. What do you expect, right?
Exactly.
And by the way, Jess, what's up with all these funny accents around this town? You know
I
what
know.
mean?
Yeah, well,
People, doesn't everybody talk like me? I mean, come on, right? I mean, people say I have an accent. I don't have an accent to it.
Did we watch?
James
Did
Allison?
you watch Fargo
No,
on the plane just to prepare yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Geez,
Oh,
Wade.
cripes.
Oh, geez, Wade. And of course, White Bear Lake. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. Yeah. Kind of funny looking. Well, kind of in a funny looking sort of way. Yeah. What a movie.
Kind of funny looking. What way? Oh, just generally.
If we got Jack started on Fargo, it'd still be here. That's another one in the Jack Parker, Bernie Corbett movie pantheon, as a matter of fact. Well, BU and B, we got kind of like point counterpoint because we got Mike, BUBC. Mike is eating right now. please, not while I'm eating. No, that's right. But Jess, the presence of the Big Ten. Now, let's talk about Big Ten hockey for a moment, okay? Penn State was obviously that caused
the catalyst.
Reformation. That was the catalyst.
The catalyst, you might say.
If we're talking world history, it was like the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand that started World War I. How about that?
Everybody's made that comparison.
No, I was going to say, I'm good. I know it's very commonplace,
Guy Gadowski and, of course, the shooting in Sarajevo. Everybody
that's right.
gets from A to B right there.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. And, of course, Terry Pagula writing a rather sizable check to Penn State. So Big Ten hockey, they send teams to the NCAA tournament pretty frequently.
Yes.
The depth of the league. They send teams to the Frozen Four, and they've got one representative this year. But do you think is there anything to it? Is there the curse of somebody or something that they have not broken through as a league and won a national championship? What is your theory?
2007, last time a team from the Big Ten.
Yep.
It was at the CCHA at the time. Michigan State won the 2007 title.
That's right. Rick Conley.
In St. Louis. Rick Conley was their coach. Apologies to BC fans. Maybe the worst line change in the final minute of a game that I have ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And Michigan State scores two. They get one, and then they get an empty netter in the last minute of regulation, and they win a national championship. Rick Conley, one of the very rare coaches, I believe. Jerry York is the other one who has won 2 national titles at 2 different schools.
That's right.
Because Jerry won them at Bowling Green and Boston College, and Rick obviously the Northern Michigan title, and then one at Michigan State. I don't know if there's a curse. You look at the last time we were here in St. Paul, 2018. There were 3 Big Ten teams who made the Frozen Four. None of them won it because Minnesota Duluth
won.
Finds a way to do it.
Crazy.
We were in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. There's 3 teams from Minnesota in it, and UMass comes out and wins it. So, maybe that's overloaded. I think Big Ten hockey is fantastic hockey. I mean, you're seeing a lot of talent. They're name brand programs. I think it's been good for college hockey. We'll debate that forever. I hear from Gopher fans all the time of, I miss the old WCHA. Knock it off. You don't miss playing Michigan Tech. You don't miss playing Colorado College. You don't miss playing Alaska Anchorage. What you miss is North Dakota, Minnesota Duluth, maybe St. Cloud State. Yeah. And Minnesota still plays most of those teams on a pretty regular basis. So, it's never going to be what it was. But I think overall, as far as the growth and the visibility of college hockey, I think the Big Ten has been a good thing.
Okay. You've been covering it regularly.
Soapbox, there we go.
No, that's all right. No, that your statement is well taken. And Michigan in particular.
Now, with that said, anybody in Iowa, maybe Indiana, maybe Maryland? We need an 8th team really, really bad. Somebody's got to step up. Illinois, let's get that cranked up again. We really do need an 8th team just for scheduling purposes and just for the good of the game. Iowa's the one I always look to because they've got a rink that seats 5,000 right near their campus. The Iowa Heartlanders and the ECHL play there right now. Okay. I think they would be a natural addition. The USHL is big in the state of Iowa. You get a lot of players coming through there. I think that's the one I would set my sights on. But, the Big Ten, I think now has about 38 teams in it. So somebody else has got to have designs on starting a men's hockey program, right?
Yeah, maybe USC or UCLA. Who knows? We can go right across the country.
That's right.
Right across the board. But and of course now Michigan is they're carrying the flag for the Big Ten here.
Yes.
And I guess success in the state of Minnesota or success in the Twin Cities. What is it? 3 years in a row that Michigan has defeated Minnesota. Twice in the Big Ten championship,
twice
and then the Big Ten semifinal,
and then
so 3 consecutive years.
And there again, going back to an earlier point.
Yep.
2 of super high-powered offenses in Minnesota and Michigan. What do? They play a 2-1 game in the playoffs, and Michigan comes out of here 3rd straight year. Now, let me just compliment Michigan for a second. And I know people love to hate the maize and blue. They're the Yankees of the Big Ten, maybe, and all of that. But with all of that said, when you look at what that program has been through in 3 years with a coaching change, with all of the upheaval, controversy, all of that, with all of the injuries they've dealt with. I wrote about Stephen Holtz today, the fact that in the middle of the season he nearly died from a bad infection and came back and is playing as well as he is. So with all of that kind of outside noise that they've been able to block out and just play hockey and get hot at the right time of the year, I think Brandon Naurato deserves a real stick salute for what he's been able to do there.
Absolutely. You think, everybody, obviously, BC, I think favorite. They are the favorite in this tournament. Could Michigan, in your estimation, knowing what you know about Michigan more than some of the people that have maybe seen less of Michigan, is Michigan capable?
If they can make it a track meet, I think they can win the game. Now, again, that's not playoff hockey from what we've seen, but crazier stuff has happened. Quinnipiac shut down Minnesota last year. I mean, we've seen weird stuff happen. 2 years ago, let's go back to Boston. That unbelievably deep, powerful, talented Michigan team, and Denver finds a way to take a lead, hang on, win that in overtime. So that's just playoff hockey. Expect the unexpected.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. You don't know.
Mike is done eating now. So
I'm
Mike's
done eating now. I'm
okay,
good now. Yeah, we're over the having no lunch. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is. It's probably Denver is the team that could do that to somebody, because you look at it. I said to somebody last week, you look at BC and you almost make the argument is that they face their two toughest games in the regionals, because those are the two teams that are going to play them differently than anybody else, right? Yes. Michigan's not going to play them the way that Quinnipiac or Michigan Tech did. But maybe it's Denver. Maybe Denver's that team that, because they did against Cornell and they did against UMass, go in and win that type of game.
And how many times have we done this? Because we did it 2 years ago. Yep. You come to the Frozen Four and you hear all about Michigan, and you hear about Minnesota, and you hear about BC, and you hear about BU, and nobody talks about Denver. Now, some coaches would be bothered by that. Hey, why aren't you talking about our team? Why aren't you promoting? Don't kid yourself. David Carl loves this. Loves being the under the radar guy, the guy that nobody's talking about. Okay, we'll just show up. We're out there in the West. We're in the Mountain Time Zone. Nobody knows where we are. All that. Don't talk about us. That's fine. We'll just come out and win a couple games and take another trophy home.
And I think our expert witness, Avaj Kaura, is back. He's also eating right now, but he's our Denver expert witness here. He's busy eating right now, but maybe we can get him to come up there and talk a little bit about Denver. And, of course, Mike, there's nobody more qualified than you to talk about BU and BC because of the time that you spent. And also Anthony's here from College Hockey News, both of you guys in terms of covering Hockey East and covering the local teams. And they came in, and I always talk about the burden of proof when the expectations are high. And the expectations were very high for these two teams. I mean, BU was pretty much a consensus number one. A lot of people came around to BC maybe being two. And they were certainly 1-2 or 1-2, take your pick in Hockey East.
Yeah.
But the fact, and I mentioned it to Jay and I mentioned it to Greg Brown, there's something to be said just to get to this point in terms of the fact that you've been able to embrace that burden of proof just to get here, because it ain't easy.
It's not, and especially when you look at the youth that's on both of these rosters, and I know people hate to talk about it, or the BC and BU are sick of hearing about it, I think, at this point.
Right. How young they are.
But it's true. I mean, a lot of 18-year-olds in that BC team, and even BU, I mean, you look up and down their roster, and it's not just Celebrini, right? There's a lot of sophomores that are playing big roles, still young players, right? Sure. And they're young sophomores. They're 19-year-old sophomores. They're not 23-year-old sophomores. So it's how do you handle the moment? And so far, I mean, look, BU and BC have handled their moments all year.
Absolutely.
With the exception of maybe BU in the Hockey East championship game, and even then, you're running into BC, which was kind of a buzzsaw at that point in the year, and still has been. So, I think what they've been able to do this year in terms of just handling the moment is not only freshman, sophomore, but young ones. Really young ones. It's a really young freshman too. And that's been the most impressive part.
Yeah, you talk about really young, and I just can't believe, being around Celebrini the whole season. I mean, when you're actually around him and you see him, and I mean, he's 17, but I mean, could he pass for 14?
I have a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
And I said to him the other day, he went to the Hockey East championship game, and the next day, I said, he's 3 years older than me.
Yeah. Just like,
and even he was like, no, he's like, that's impossible.
Yeah.
I go, no, he's 3 years older than you.
Yeah, he had a situation earlier in the year. I'm trying to remember what game it was. James might remember because James was probably there. Well, James stopped listening to me, I think, in, December, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. But at any rate, that's neither here nor there. But he got a penalty, and he was lobbying with the official. And, just kind of, just a petulant youth. And I think I said on the broadcast, I said, well, this Celebrini, I said, he just got whistled off for that roughing penalty. I said, he's appealing to the official. I said, he looks like a kid that's trying to, see if he can get the car to, Friday night to stay out past 11, to take Emily Lou to the movies or whatever, I think he's going to lose the argument,
Yeah.
Be home by 10:30, son. Okay. and no, you can't have the car. Okay. But it's unbelievable what he's been able to do at this tender age. To watch him night in and night out, it's amazing.
and do it against different types of teams too. He's been able to match it when they play BC and they're playing, other first round picks, top 10 picks.
Yeah.
And he's done it against UMass Lowell too, which is
right.
a bunch of 24-year-olds that just try to beat you up.
That's right.
He's done it against everybody.
When you're taking, as I say, you're taking face-offs against your uncle,
I mean,
or your great uncle.
7-8 years older than you.
Right. UMass Lowell, I'd say maybe your great uncle. If he's, he's 25.
Yeah.
I'm not really impressed with you maybe being the number one pick in the draft. And, one of the things that's misleading, you talk about how young BU is, how young BC is, but BU has gotten, I think the BU fans that are out there probably think about, there's a core group of guys for BU that are 4th and 5th year players.
And that's huge.
And, so as young as they are, that's not quite accurate in terms of Stevens and Tuck and Case McCarthy, the captain, and Peterson, and these guys with Cade Weber that have been invested in the program. And those guys were either coming back or decided to come back for a 5th year. But I've said this to Greg Brown. I give Greg credit for bringing in Malone from Cornell and bringing in Bankston from Lake Superior. And bringing in, I hate to say it, bringing in Jamie Armstrong from BU and having him get on the green line and making sure he had the exact change to go to the other end of the green line there. But those 3 guys have been so important to BC.
And Powell too, who's their own seed.
Their homegrown,
their own guy.
Their homegrown captain and 4th year guys. So,
I talked to some of the BC freshmen today about that very thing. Like, hey, you guys don't have a lot of experienced guys in this room, but you have a couple, and how much do you lean on them? Because look, I mean,
make all the difference.
Yeah, and they haven't had a ton of adversity. You're 33-5-1. There's not a ton of adversity, but there have been points where they've had to face in the regionals. They had to face it. Against those within those games. They still won, but kind of within those games, there's moments where it's going to go either way. And Fowler said, flat out, we lean on those guys a lot, especially in those times because they've been there. I think it was the Michigan Tech game where he was like, we were kind of the younger guys were kind of deer in the headlights a little bit. Like we don't. How are we going to play against it? Like we couldn't advance the puck past the red line for a period and a half.
They're like paralyzed.
And he goes, and it was the older guys, Powell and Armstrong, who were like, look, we just got to chip pucks behind the D. Like, just take a deep breath, relax. Once we get the puck in open space, we'll be fine. We just got to get the puck there. And that really is what pushed them through, especially against Michigan Tech. They were talking specifically about Michigan Tech.
Where they got slowed down early.
Yeah.
Michigan Tech has really had their way early in the game.
After they scored 36 seconds in or whatever it was.
Set the tone. Yeah, exactly. That was a little bit of a wake-up call. And the other thing is, and Adam's back. I think Adam
we're like the wild Samoans here. We're just teaming in and out.
No, that's exactly.
Offensica.
This looks like you got to reach under the ropes. Make the tag WWWF. That's right. Adam's back in the ring. One of the other things that I sometimes chuckle at is when they do talk about some of the young guys and can they handle the pressure and the Frozen Four, and I'm like, when you're talking about elite guys, like first round pick type guys, I mean, these guys, they were going to the Czech Republic when they were 9. So I think sometimes you overestimate that they're going to crumble in the big moment because, these guys, it's been the big moment just to get there in terms of what's been invested in them to be as good as they are. I'm
not worried about them.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to play.
Not to mention they're all going to be millionaires soon. So really not worried about them at all.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, there's not going to be any bake sales, as we say, right? No bake sales. Exactly.
It's just like you think back. Like I think back to when I was 17, 18 years old. I would not have been able to handle these moments. Like I remember, I was a knucklehead. An 18-year-old kid, and he's still a kid, an 18-year-old kid, to handle these lights and these types of moments is pretty impressive.
Myself, I was under a lot of pressure because there was impeachment proceedings for the senior class president at Stoneham High. I swear to God, I didn't take the money. Okay, went to Bermuda, but it was I had a paper route. So anyway,
that's right.
I just want to. Without my attorney present, I wanted to state that right.
I'm glad we clarified that.
I'm glad we did clarify it. Yes, Adam, your take on the games here, and Adam, you're only so happy by nature, in terms of.
Somebody's got to do it.
It all comes from the 4 teams that you root for, okay, professionally. But when you look at it, as far as the teams that are here, you're pretty happy about what we've got the potential to see here with the potential offensive pyrotechnics, et cetera, of these 4 teams. Are you happy with the field? I guess I could say. I feel like we're at the Kentucky Derby. You happy with the field?
That's a double-edged sword because I'll to disagree with Jess over here. I would like to see teams other than the Big Ten and whatnot dominate. And if this field were like the same players on Clarkson, St. Lawrence, Michigan Tech, and I don't know, Stonehill, name a team.
Stonehill. Yeah,
I would be much happier. The funny thing is, I have nothing against any of these big schools whatsoever. I just wish that the balance of power hadn't shifted so much.
Mm-hmm.
That said, as I said, double-edged sword, the games themselves, just from an entertainment standpoint, these 4 teams this year in this environment, I mean, it's pretty hard to argue.
Yep.
With no offense to any of the other teams that were close, I think Michigan was underachieving most of the year. So I think, they come in, everyone says, oh, they're the 3 seed and they're 9 overall, whatever it was, 10 overall. But yeah, I mean, that old Little Sisters of the Poor routine they're trying to pull this weekend. I mean,
You're
forget
still
about
Michigan. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They are, to me, when you say top 4 teams, they're fine being in that group of 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they belong. There's no question about that.
And I thought I had Denver as my preseason favorite. I thought they had the most talent top to bottom, like depth-wise and everything in the country at the beginning of the season. I remember saying this at the beginning. It was just a matter of whether that defense could pull together. And I had all the faith in the world that it would. My faith was waning as it got to February, and it was still an Achilles heel. But they somehow pulled it together. So did Michigan. And, like you said, I think Jess said or somebody about Michigan, do they even know what defense is? The thing is, when they actually care, when they actually try to care, they're pretty good. Like we've seen in the last 2 NCAA tournaments. They shut down, multiple teams last year in the NCAA tournament and this year late in the season. So they're fully capable of doing it. And when they play that way, last year they got into trouble with those penalties against Quinnipiac, I think it was. Yep. If they can play...
That was their downfall in that game.
Yeah, if they can play tough and disciplined... I mean, I'm more worried about the discipline part of it than I am the defensive ability, let's say, of Michigan. They got to stay out of the box. And if they do that, I mean, I think they have as good a chance. I said last week that Quinnipiac was the toughest game, not necessarily the best team, but the toughest game BC will play. But if Michigan can play the way they've been playing, then that might be even more so.
Michigan's got good defense. Yeah. I mean, you look at Seamus Casey, I think is one of the best defensemen in the country. You look at Marshall Warren, who came over from BC. I wrote about Stephen Holtz today. He's not a flashy guy, but just a good defenseman. And Brandon Naurato is very quick to remind folks, he got to the Frozen Four last year by winning a 2-1 overtime game against Penn State of all teams. Penn State, which, couldn't find defense with a map.
Need Google search.
Well,
get below the blue line.
Here's the other thing that I think gets lost from last year's game against Quinnipiac. Why am I drawing a blank? Who's their goalie last year? Did not have a good game. I'm picturing him right now, and I'm like, how are none of you remembering this? No. The Michigan goalie.
Peretz, yeah.
Big Swedish kid. At the Kings now. Eric
Portillo. Why is it like I thought you guys would pick me up at least?
A Swedish kid with an Italian name, of course.
This was not like a team effort right there. I thought I get like when the 4-hitter strikes out and the 5-hitter drives in the runs. I thought you guys were going to get there. But
is this an audience or an oil painting?
That was a line I got about Michigan in the offseason when they brought in Jake Barshevsky, who was a good goalie at Canisius last year. Gave Minnesota all they could handle until they did something silly, which is take a 5-minute major against last year's Minnesota team. Don't do that, by the way, kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Young players out there, that's my advice to you.
Frowned upon.
But that was one thing that got lost is that Michigan didn't have great goaltending last year. And over the summer when I asked people, what are you going to do about goaltending in Michigan? They said, it's not like we're replacing Ken Dryden here.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing, right? So like, and I mean, I don't think I've said this in a year because I didn't want to make it seem like I'm throwing the guy under the bus. But I think now, I mean, he didn't mean it maliciously. But I remember walking out of the arena last year after that game, and Luke Hughes was talking to somebody. I can't remember who it was. And he just
his agent, I'm sure. But
it's just about to say it had to be his agent.
But I remember him specifically, like he's not here anymore, so I can say. But he was like, just like, our gold, like he was like, oh my God, like he's like, that was so bad. And he was just lamenting the fact that like, that's kind of the reason why they lost, that game. And I mean, like I said, he wasn't being malicious. It was just like he was really upset and disappointed that's the way it played out. But
one of my all-time favorite quotes about hockey at any level. They said in the playoffs, goaltending is 90% of the equation, unless you don't have it, and then it's 100% of the equation.
Exactly.
And I mean,
you got to ratchet that up 10%.
Bernie, you saw that in BU's last game. Like Justin Close had a very rare game where he let in 2 soft goals, and that was the difference in the game. In what was essentially a 1-goal game until empty netters happened. That was the difference. And Justin Close was rock solid for Minnesota for 2.5 years. Everyone has a stinker now and then. He didn't play great in that game. With that said, for people who watched that game, the first 5 minutes, if Justin Close isn't the best player on the ice, it's 3-0 BU.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Quickly. Yeah. So, it was we saw both sides of the coin there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and who knows? Jacob Barczewski or any of the goalies here could have an off night. So, but Barczewski's been at his best lately, and it goes hand in hand with the defense. They've both been at their best lately. So, like I said, if they play that way, let's put it this way. Michigan has the personnel to stop BC. But whether it happens or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not like
they're capable.
It's not like I'm going to be shocked if it's another 2-2 game in the third period and anyone wins it.
Can BC win a track meet game, though? If Michigan wants to make it a run and gun, Penn State style, throw the puck up ice, can BC play
I wouldn't put it past BC.
They can. Yeah. Why wouldn't they be able to? What makes you question that versus questioning?
In full disclosure, I haven't seen BC except on TV this year, so I'm asking you guys who
they've made teams
have seen the Eagles or have seen too much of the Eagles.
they've made teams look silly.
I may fall into the latter category, but I do mean fall too. Yeah.
No, I mean BC can definitely run and gun if they. I mean, I don't think that. If I'm Michigan, I do not want that. I realize they have players too. I mean, I'm not oblivious to the fact that they've got Casey and Nazar and Brindley and et cetera, but I don't think that's the game they want. I really don't. And also because Fowler, even though he's 18 compared to 27 or whatever Barczewski is,
check that birth certificate.
As Mike has pointed out many times, he's a big game goalie, and he'll be there to bail them out most likely. Again, any of these guys can have a bad game, but. Yeah, so if I'm Michigan, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a coach, as I point out every show I do.
That's right.
By the way.
Exactly. He is not a coach.
Well, I have a 7-year-old who's trying to learn how to skate, so we'll see. Maybe I can go up through the ranks with her at the. But yeah, no, I mean that's the way I look at it. And then the we haven't even gotten to the BU Denver game. I'll let you take that, but
no, that's all right.
Before I tag team out to somebody else here. What was the third Samoan brothers name? It was
the wrestling fans out there.
Yeah, there was the third one they brought in towards the. There you go. Tag out.
Mike back. Warlord's going to step out for a minute.
I don't remember.
That was like when I stopped watching wrestling
Samoan
in 1990.
Yeah.
So, yeah, BU and Denver. I got to tell. I mean. Bernie, hold your ears, but
okay. Should I take the headset off now?
I like Denver in this game.
I know we talked about it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I am more. I hate to say it because honestly, this is really splitting hairs, and I'm always wrong anyway. So maybe take some comfort in that.
Yeah, exactly. Go the other way with the Greek. Yeah, Jimmy the Greek.
If I was a betting man,
yes,
I would have more confidence in Denver winning than I would in, either BC or Denver or Michigan winning. Honestly, I feel like I don't know. I don't even know what it is. Honestly, like I can see
some intangible there.
I've been saying that to Mike all year. There's something about BU that bothers me, and I don't know what it is.
Maybe it's just me, Adam.
Maybe.
I think all these years we've been together.
Nothing to do with any of the people. Jay Pandolfo's a wonderful person, and I love him. But I don't know what it is when I watch them, and I don't know. There's something that, like, they have their moments, and I haven't seen the progression as much as I've seen it from the other teams. Like, there's still moments.
Yeah.
Like, even in the RIT game where, like,
it was
what
a
the
troubling
hell was
start.
that?
Yeah, it was a very troubling start.
I mean,
there was reason for concern.
Better not do that against Denver. Let's put it that way.
No doubt. And
that was only 2 games ago. So I don't know. I'm going to be at a loss for words as far as what that. There he is. You tell. What do you got? Joe, what is that?
Before we introduce our next guest, once again tonight and Hockey on Campus all season long, presented by AlcaChino. Premium boozy lattes,
Is
real
someone gonna
ingredients,
pop out of there?
real spirits, because coffee is the new buzz. Also, with our raffle tickets are being circulated. And if you don't know, you've got a chance to win. And when we say the best seats in the house, we're not kidding, because they came from our next guest, as a matter of fact, courtesy of the American Hockey Coach Association. We've got tickets.
Thought it was going to
there it
be
is.
dry ice.
We've
like
got
smoke coming
tickets.
out.
We've got tickets to raffle off, and for charity and designated charity here at Zamboni's. So get your raffle tickets, and we're going to be raffling off some tickets. And now our next guest
Needs no introduction.
needs no introduction. Thank you, David Letterman. My next guest needs no introduction. If we do the introduction, the full introduction will be here until 9. I guess we're going to say Executive Director of the American Hockey Coaches Association. Hockey's Commissioner Emeritus. Harvard, 73. Starred in the movie Love Story. Where do we stop with this? Resident of the Fish City of Gloucester.
3.
You gotta bring
Oh
Joe.
no, I was just saying that was Joe's good.
Yep.
I was going to try to get Mike the other mic here. Mike the
Okay.
mic.
Does this work?
Yeah, you're good.
Well,
I thought dry ice was going to start.
as promised, Joe Britannia, I was going to say, I'm going to come up with a motto. Britannia delivers.
Here we go.
Joe Britannia, when he heard about our show, this is Joe Britannia, ladies and gentlemen. People that know college hockey, you know Joe Britannia. There you go. We just said the greatest moment in the history of Harvard happened right here.
I just watched Curb Your
1989.
Enthusiasm, and that seemed like a Curb Your
That
Enthusiasm
seemed like
moment.
a curb your enthusiasm. Exactly. We're going to try to curb it. Jack Parker was. You got to follow
I
Jack
ran
Parker.
into Jack at the Twins game today.
You did.
Yeah.
You never know who you're going to meet at the Twins
No,
game.
and it was a great game.
Jack and I missed opening day for the first time, and I don't know how many years he's been my special guest.
I thought about Bob Lobel every time a former Red Sox guy got up and said, "Why can't
Why
we get
can't we get
players
guys like
this?"
that?
Yeah.
Dan, why can't we get players like that? Dan Roach is here from Channel 4, right? Dan, why can't we get guys like the shortstop for the Dodgers, right? He's going to answer for Bob LaBelle now. Dan Roach, Channel 4.
So, by the way, this
Heir
is the
apparent.
unveiling of the new
Yes,
front
this is
plate.
the new Mike Richter Award.
We
The new Mike Richter Award.
dropped a few dollars on a new front plate.
Okay.
And Mike will be here tomorrow.
Proud resident of Flowertown, Pennsylvania.
That's right. Well, now
That's
he's
about
now he
it.
lives
Native
in
of Flowertown,
Connecticut.
Pennsylvania.
About 15 minutes from where I lived for 25 years.
Yeah, so he'll be presenting on Friday night, and
Mike Richter will be here in the flesh to present his award.
and he comes at his own expense every year. I think it's great that he supports the
Tremendous.
award.
Tremendous. And Joe, just a little bit about the origin of the award. You've been involved with it from the beginning.
Well, actually, no. If you remember, Let's Play Hockey gave the award out
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
the first several years, and the Commissioners Association took it over. They asked if there's some expense in doing this, and we were happy to take it over. I think 3 or 4 years ago, and that was right around the time that there were all sorts of people in the hockey community trying to negotiate. I think you could say with the Hobies to expand Friday night and let other awards kind of at one time. Remember, this was held like at Tom Reed's.
Yeah.
And
it
last time
was
we were
a Tom
here,
Reed's the last
yeah.
time we were 2018.
And so people were going to 2 events, and you're trying to, let's make it one night, one award show.
Right.
Like
the Academy Awards.
Yeah, and no, not as long.
Well, the
And,
New England Hockey Writers Bank.
Well, that is as long.
That's
yeah.
right.
And next year, I think they're talking about expanding the NHL Network show from a half hour to an hour, and then all the awards and all the presentations will be live.
This is
in
the
that
big
show.
question, though. The Sphere, 2026, Vegas.
Oh,
Are you not
that would-
familiar with the Sphere?
I am.
Oh,
and
okay.
that's U2's
Yeah.
home
That's-
field,
that's-
home ice.
We
I
got to
saw-
start working on that right
I
now.
saw you two there in December. What
Well,
a spectacle.
Maybe Bono will present something.
Yeah,
And,
maybe, if we're doing anything for world hunger, then we'll be
I
there.
think they've passed the torch now to like the fish or something. The Dead and Company have I don't know.
Yeah.
But the NHL
not Wayne Newton.
No, wait.
Don Ho.
I check the birthdays every day in the paper. This day, and then the same day, Wayne Newton and Tony Orlando share a birthday.
Is that right?
You probably didn't know that.
Tie your yellow
I'm
ribbon.
so glad I know that now. But
Tie your yellow ribbon around, I don't know, tie it around
Yeah,
something.
but,
Anyway, that was just-
And Don.
no, but the
That's
NHL
right.
draft is going to be in the Sphere this year, so we might as well have the Hobie and Richter ceremony.
There you go.
I mean,
And the
let's work on it.
humanitarian and the Heinz.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Well, let's work on that. But anyway,
bring them all together. I was mistaken about you being involved from the beginning, but I was thinking about what was the all-time goaltending summit, and I was so privileged and honored to be there. Was in Philadelphia. The year was in Philly.
Yeah, there's another one coming up in June out here. I'm coming back to St. Paul, and there's a little news note.
Okay.
I was asked to speak. They're doing 3 days on goaltending, past, present, and future, and you can imagine which one I'm doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many guesses?
So I said to Steve Thompson from USA Hockey, I said, do you think you could get Cap Raider and Keith Elaine to come? Because the very first USA Hockey goaltending camp in Colorado Springs, we were the three guys from the East.
Well, what year was that, Jeff?
Oh,
73, 4?
no, later than that.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No, you were playing.
80. Anyway.
Okay.
And the three Western guys were Dave Peterson, who went on to become the Olympic coach.
Sure.
Al Godfrey, not Warren Godfrey. Al Godfrey, who was a scout. And Mike Dibble, who played at Wisconsin and would have been a candidate for the 80 Olympic team, but he blew his knee out. And so I talked to Cap last night from his hideout in northern Vermont. And
I haven't seen Cap in a couple of years now.
So we're all going to be together.
Witness protection, I think.
Yeah, we're going to put the band together and work on that goal symposium.
Tremendous with that. Because I was referring to the press conference with Richter, Bernie Perrant.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was referring to.
And he said the two books that he read were Jacques Plant's and mine. That was pretty good company.
Unbelievable.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon spiked at that point.
Yeah, well, I think we sold 4 that
I think
week.
it was like 4.
Went from 1 to 4.
That's right. He sold 4 copies of the book that week.
I actually sold
groundswell.
7,000 or 8,000 copies of the goaltending book, and I did a mailing to all the college coaches back then, and most of them had purchase orders through their business office for a $4 book. And the one guy that wrote a personal check and a personal handwritten note wishing me luck was Lenny Siglarski.
Was Lenny.
Which I never
Really?
forgot. Yeah.
That somehow fits that it was Lenny.
Yep.
That somehow it absolutely fits that it was Lenny. God bless him.
I still have to read Bill Cleary's memoir.
It's 80 pages.
Yeah. I don't know. I just haven't taken the time to sit there and read it.
It doesn't take long, and it's very Billy.
Yeah.
He's not breaking a lot of new ground, but he's consistent with his views on amateurism and
he's certainly consistent with those.
yeah. And
I wish we had him here to pontificate on that.
Hey, I remember in '89
Get off my lawn.
He was standing on a chair in the lobby of the St. Paul Hotel when Harvard won it, holding the trophy up over his head. This is for every former player, and I'm saying great because that's as close as I'm going to get to it.
Wow, when you think about that.
Joe, I won't bring up some of your transgressions against Boston University. I'm not going to bring that up. Did I just?
I was 1-0-1 at Walter Brown Arena.
That I didn't know.
Yeah.
These
Donnie Lucia was there when they closed Walter Brown and opened again. Us back-to-back nights with Minnesota.
405, yeah.
And I dropped that
Lost and
stat
then won.
on him, and he said, would you allow 15 goals? And we all laughed. And I thought,
no, that was in the
9.
Garden. Yeah, that was in the
4-4 tie and a 6-5 win. Hey, those are 3 points. Well, today they'd be
4 points.
Today they'd be 4.5 points.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. No, your struggles were confined to the Garden against
And
Beale.
they were struggles. And no, they weren't, because my freshman year we were 20-1, and I lost to BU.
That's right. You're the
That's
two
when
greatest freshman teams. When freshmen were ineligible.
I should have started therapy then.
Instead, you went on a love story and you couldn't get a good agent.
I only lost in 4 years. I only lost 9 games against teams who didn't wear red and white.
Really? We know that one was from Ithaca.
And I think I lost 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I'm not gonna. I've already. I don't want to make Joe feel bad. So
You didn't say a word about Cornell. Did I just say Cornell? I don't want to say a word about Cornell.
It was one of the worst days of my life up there. That was when they had Canadian referees would come over the board, and they had a referee named Percy Shore. And when the ref is trying to make you feel good in the middle of a game, hey, that was a great save. I said, Percy, it's 4-2, and we got 45 minutes left in this one.
who was the famous ref that was a character? It's not him, but there's another guy.
Boston guy?
I don't know.
Giles Threadgold?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Giles was
All you had to say was ref and character.
That's
The
what I'm saying. I
notorious
figured,
Giles
I figured
Threadgold.
you know what I was saying.
notorious.
But yeah, I mean, what's your remembrances of him?
Well, there was he was quoted. I mean, referees don't get interviewed
Yeah, right.
in season. He was
Wasn't it in Sports Illustrated?
No,
or
it was in a Cornell. It was
Oh,
something
that's
at
what it
Cornell,
was. That's
Cornell
what it
game
was.
program or
Yeah.
something where he
I
said,
think Art Kaminsky wrote the story.
That's
too.
possible.
Oh, it said BU will never win a national championship.
He's right.
Yeah.
As he's out there doing BU games.
Coming from a referee who was a former BC player. I mean, what were the odds of that? I mean,
He was on the 49 team that won the national
Right,
championship.
he was Pike's Peak team.
My second year at Hockey East was 99, and we thought we'd invite the 49 team back and give them tickets and have them on the video board, 50th anniversary. And Giles complained we didn't have a hospitality suite.
That's right. I remember you telling me that.
What a Bush League operation this is.
That's right. I'll be in my trailer. I can't work under these conditions. Exactly.
Man.
Well,
So
Joe, you're down there, right? You got to tell the story we're talking about. I hate to bring it up. We got a lot of BU fans here, little choice. But was it Bobby Barry? Who was the official?
Yeah.
Tell that story about when you gave up your seventh against BU.
Beanpot, 8th.
You're eighth.
We
You're
lost
eighth against BU.
We lost 8-3. And the 8th goal might have been Buddy Powers, who coached RPI.
Bowling Green.
And Bobby Barry was in the Northeastern Hall of Fame with the referee, and he reached down behind me to get the puck out of the net, and he said, "Don't worry, Joey, it's almost over." And I said, "Promise?"
Take a look at the clock. It's almost over.
So that year, we finished 17-3-1. If you guys don't remember this, but there were no common schedules. Everybody made their own schedule.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It was
So
like a
the
free-for-all.
standings in Art Kaminsky's newsletter, we were by percentage. And that year, we finished 17-3-1, and Cornell was 17-3-1. 2 of our losses were to Cornell. And so going into the tournament, we were seeded second. But we had a same record. So 30, maybe 40 years later, I'm sitting at the Bright Landry Center at Harvard, and I look up, and they have a banner that has ECAC regular season champions. It says 1973. I said, wait a minute, we never won any championship. I never got a trophy or a tie clip or,
And this is the mythical championship.
I
right.
realized somebody in the sports information office must have said, oh, they had the same record as Cornell. They were co-champions.
We'll take it.
Stitch 4 more numerals on the banner. So now, when I pass, I hope the obituary says member of the 1973 ECAC regular season
ECAC
champion.
regular. Jesus.
is this what inspired you to get into sports information?
Yeah, so
Make
I
sure
could
these-
correct all
that's
the
right.
saves and
All these things that never. Yeah.
Be able to clarify.
I told him Bill Fitzsimmons, who's still the dean of admissions at Harvard.
That's
He
right.
played on the 1968 hockey team.
Canterbury.
I was
Yes.
doing statistics for the Canterbury Society, and I found
Canterbury
out that he
Society,
had one
former
more
Abbott
save.
goalies.
He had 1,085 saves, and I had 1,084. So I sent him the list, and I wrote, obviously, an icing that found its way on goal. And he took the same sheet of paper and scratched it out and said, obviously, a breakaway in overtime.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's right. You got to add one. Yeah.
But you could have gone back and just scoured the video.
I could have called and said, all I'm looking for
Yeah, exactly.
is 11,000 saves, which is one more.
I was gonna say this, make the same reference, but I didn't want to get.
You got to
I'm glad you did it, not me.
be able to find one
And
more.
what's going to happen to me? I mean,
Nothing.
really.
Here, nothing.
I might get jumped on the way home and I lose the Richter Trophy. That's the worst thing that could happen.
There's less security than the Stanley Cup. Joe is providing his
Yeah.
own security here.
I mean,
No gloves.
there
thought
it
he-
is.
I thought he was a
case,
ventriloquist.
though.
I thought he was a ventriloquist when he came in. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, the
But
case
he
is good.
produced
No,
it.
I thought there was going to be someone
glass
jumping
of
out of
water.
that thing.
Somebody going to jump out of there. That's
either
right.
either snakes or
Very
like,
small person.
That's right. Very
So-
small.
I mean, how are you officially retired? What do you
No.
consider yourself
God,
at this
no.
point?
Well, those are two separate questions.
Oh.
What do I consider myself? We could spend a lot of time.
The luckiest man on the
Oh,
face
yeah.
of the earth.
Yeah.
Jack Parker is unavailable for a rebuttal. He's already gone to dinner. But continue, Joe.
So, I really, it's bothered me for 4 years. Hey, how do you like retirement? Because as you know,
No, I know. Yeah, we.
I was never retired. I
You're
was
not the retiring type.
retired by
Well, you're
somebody.
retired by somebody. Yeah.
So I've been fairly busy since, and though this past year I've kind of stopped a bunch of things. And my goalie school ended at 50 summers. My EHL my commissioner life ends June 30. The AHCA, I'm giving up the executive director position and stay on to be like the SID for the coaches. And so I'm looking for work. If anybody out there,
I always
you
tell
know,
you I have
I
an
don't
open
do-
invitation.
I
at
don't
College
do
Hockey News.
windows, but I'm pretty handy. And
Joe brought resumes.
Yeah.
Bring resumes to the
My
Frozen
daughter,
Four.
who just got out of UMass, and we're both preparing our resumes, looking for work.
So you've handed the torch to it looks like Grant Patolny, right?
Well, no, Grant's the president, but the new executive director is
right.
Forrest Carr.
Oh, that's right.
So it stays in the Brotherhood,
right.
as he played goal for Notre Dame.
Yeah,
He's also a lawyer.
right.
So
Doesn't just play one on TV. He's a real
combination
lawyer.
of a goalie and a lawyer.
No, that's a combination.
We all need those these days in college sports.
Yeah.
Let me
I'm
tell
the son of a
Actually,
goalie and a
that's true.
lawyer,
Yeah.
so I can sympathize with that.
Yeah, I mean, this year at the convention, we've got more people from the NCAA coming down than ever before. Talk about the transfer portal, talking about opening up,
CHL,
all that stuff, and it's and now the women have an interesting issue because they never had to deal with worrying about players declaring for the draft and all that sort of thing. So
that's right.
the WPHL will be down there, and
Well, you saw that in the women's basketball tournament. All these WNBA players declaring for the WNBA draft now. So,
but couldn't Caitlin Clark have made more money at Iowa if she stayed?
she probably could.
I would think so.
Seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah. No
Probably
question.
could.
Yeah, I think it's almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know if the money isn't the cash isn't going around college hockey as much, but they're getting a lot of players getting endorsement deals and freebies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I think just the transfer thing where one of the big schools loses somebody, the pros, and then they just go look at another school that, gee, we missed this guy the first time we had a chance at him, and we have a chance to win a national championship. And the kid's buddy says, "Yeah, this is great. We need a right shot defenseman." And and look at some of the schools that have multiple guys in the portal.
Well, look at as we sit next to the Big Ten guy here who's been singing the praises of the Big Ten.
And why not?
Land grant universities.
I'll say I'm preaching to the converted, but like a guy like Wayne Wilson, who's been there forever and done a tremendous job at RIT, loses his two best players right after the tournament's over. So, I mean, there's nothing any of us can say that's going to stop this issue at this point. But it's just, to me, a shame. But what do you?
We're already vulnerable because there's only 64 schools that play Division I hockey. Many of them are not Division I schools across the board.
Yeah.
So.
That's true.
The gap in resources and haves and have-nots has always been there, but somehow we've been
not able to be as exploited as easily as it is now.
Well, then that's the concern that the gap is gonna grow. And,
I think that's already happening. But yes,
when you get a school like if a military academy loses a bunch of guys, or the Ivies can't.
There's no
recourse.
recourse.
That, by the way.
Well,
There's how many Army players are in the portal? As I go to the portal expert over here.
There's a few. I think I talked to Brian Riley about this. They have until the end of their sophomore year, I think it is,
something like that.
to get out without.
Yeah, that's a relatively recent rule.
Without the guaranteed service requirement.
Yeah.
So he said, they basically need the end of or beginning of junior year is their finish line.
They got to make a decision.
If they can get the kid to January or September 1 of their junior year, he's going to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're compelled to stay.
But I mean, look, Rick. I'm just.
They do have weapons. Yes,
I'm the guy who sits here like I don't know, nostalgic for like these old coaches who I love, like Rick Gockin, who loses his goalie, to Wisconsin. And Rick Gockin's put in 30-something years at that school, grinding away.
Right, absolutely.
And he finally gets a gem, and it's gone.
Did the RIT goalie, was he one of the ones that went?
He went,
So Mercyhurst's goalie,
really?
Mercyhurst's goalie McClellan went last year to Wisconsin, and now this year RIT's goalie is going.
Taking the RIT.
So it's just Wisconsin is known as goalie university. Now it's like
with an asterisk.
Yeah, instead of pulling them out of
Atlantic Hockey Goalie University.
Instead of pulling them out of I don't know, name the town. You probably know where all the goalies are from. Now they're just pulling them out of Atlantic Hockey schools.
Yeah.
Well,
like a farm system.
Your team started with 3 transfer goalies, right, this year?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's right. UMass and St. A's, and then
here's the
one from Brown.
Let me see if you agree with this. At least I don't know, but like as an Ivy guy, I think the Ivies are actually in better shape than. That's not saying much, but they're in better shape than say Michigan Tech and RIT and all that. Because if a kid's going to go to an Ivy League school in the first place, more often than not, they're going there for a reason beyond hockey.
Yeah, but if it's a blue chip player and he's got to spend $90,000 a year as opposed to getting everything,
that's different because that's Harvard's guys, and they're in and out of there anyway after a couple of years. Yeah. But none of the other Ivies have that. Like Cornell has no players in the portal right now. Knock on wood, right? So God bless them. I mean, I think
threatened them all.
I think they're less vulnerable.
I might be factoring in. Yeah.
maybe it's wishful thinking. Maybe just 1 year, but I think they're less vulnerable than say, Bemidji State. I mean, Bemidji State lost their World Junior defenseman within seconds after their season ended to Denver.
Yeah,
Theoretically.
So, and then the conversation of opening up major junior. It's actually not just major junior. It would be Europe. It's professionalism. So Europe.
It could be from the Swedish elite league.
I think there's a little bit of a shift going on where guys that were against it are starting to come around and realize, hey, I'm getting screwed in other ways, and maybe I do need a bigger pool. Maybe we should have more guys and have some faith that college hockey is going to win these battles, and guys that the fear of these great players going up and never coming back. I mean, where Jack's old line was, we're selling Cadillacs and they're selling Edsels and they're selling more cars than we are.
And they were selling more cars. Like, how could that happen? That was before CHI came along.
Well, I can tell you to back that up that all the coaches I've talked to from the smaller so-called schools are all 100% in favor of opening things up.
Yeah.
I mean, and Tom Saratori in particular told me he's been for it for 20-some years. So, I mean, this is nothing new to him. But even the Big Ten guys who would be the ones most against it for the reasons, maybe those blue chippers aren't going to come here. At least the ones I've talked to said they're not worried about that. They said they'll get as many first rounders who started out in major junior to come there as they will lose, right? I mean, Bob talks about that.
Balance it out,
So
I think it's going to end up being the USHL. Like the OHL is going to become the USHL. A guy might go there at 16, and then when he's 18, he's probably going to go to Minnesota or Michigan or Wisconsin. Like, it's still going to be a step up because you're playing against older players.
Yeah, everyone will have their own reasons for either doing it or not doing it. But I think the net will be at very worst 0.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, college hockey's not going to get hurt.
No, I don't think so.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not going to get hurt.
I don't know that we can stop it if you are against it, because
that's the other thing. Yeah.
Everything's going towards athletes' rights, and with the type of money that's being now available to an incoming athlete, how can you tell a kid that got $76 a week in Owen Sound that he's tainted?
No, there's no way to stop it.
Dick DeClo.
I've talked to a couple of coaches.
It was like $89. Yeah.
A couple of coaches who have argued with me against it, going, we're never going to get the votes. It's never going to get the votes. Doesn't have to.
Yeah, right.
All it has to do is go to court.
That's right.
Well, they'll lose. They'll lose in court in 5 seconds.
Now, there is one question I asked the woman from the NCAA the other day. They asked for a response from the coaches to some specific questions. So before we answered, we asked them to come down, have a session back and forth, and we'll poll people. I said, are you polling other associations? And she said, yes. And is at the end of the line, is it going to be one answer, one policy, or will different schools have the ability to have guidelines or whatever? And she implied that, this is all ahead of time, that each sport could maybe, they might open up to professionalism, but then when you get down to the details, each sport can have a say in it.
They'd have their own autonomy in that situation.
Or define it.
Some sort of rules, right?
I mean, the current rule we actually put in, the major junior as professionals, that goes back to the mid-'80s when RPI, won the title with Oates and Cervinas and those guys. And the hockey commissioners at the time put in a rule that was more strict than the existing NCAA.
Well, and as one of the coaches said to me, who has that benefited? That's actually benefited the big schools more so, right? If you think about it, right? Who's become the power since 80? I mean, maybe that's that line is not exact, but let's say, skip ahead 10 years. I mean, since 96 or so, has any of those smaller schools, I mean, Clarkson's like Superior, none of those Michigan Tech, they're all out of the mix at this point.
No.
Whereas in 85, they were still in the mix, right?
Yeah.
So
still winning.
St. Lawrence.
So, he attributed that to that rule, like, where that hurt the little guys more so. So anyway, I don't know. As I always say, it doesn't matter what any of us say. The courts are going to rule against anything the NCAA tries
Then why
to
do you guys
anyway.
even do this?
You know what? I'm out of here.
That's a good
other
question.
than the 5 of us and Rochi, who's listening to this?
It's the free food, actually.
Okay. Well, I thought for being the 72-year-old guy wheeling a trophy across St. Paul, somebody might have bought me a beer.
Somebody hand this guy a beer.
Somebody get Joe a beer. We got to get Joe a beer.
No, get him an AlcaChino.
Get him.
I got my refrigerator in my basement.
is filled with
It's
AlcaChino.
not Phil, but whatever you were generous enough to send.
That's right.
Yeah.
Joe's already got his promotional package of AlcaChino. That's right.
I'm
got
on the
one, too.
take. It doesn't take much.
My
When you're
wife enjoyed it.
semi-retired,
Yeah,
a couple of cans of
your wife-
AlcaChino, and you'll.
Yeah.
Mike has enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was out of town when it came in. She didn't know what it was. She's like, "What? Did you order something?" She's like, "What is this?" I said, "It came from Bernie." And then there was no more questions.
That's right. I was going to say
As soon
that.
as I said it came from Bernie, she said, "No more
That
questions."
stop
asked.
the
So,
questioning
yeah,
right there.
I get it.
You know,
Two things I never
three
do.
down and we'll go to Soupy. You're the only one that
Yeah,
knows what
two
I'm
things
talking about.
I've never drank coffee in my life, and I
Okay.
stopped drinking alcohol. So I just gave them all to my wife.
There you go.
She's home having an AlcaChino
Yeah,
right now.
I hope so.
In Colorado, I hope so.
She's in therapy somewhere in the middle of the Rockies. By the way, another fact. I'm full of all these little
Fun facts about the Richter Award.
The mold of this does not include this. We have to buy the cages.
Oh, I see.
Oh, really?
And 2 years ago,
Ernie Higgins?
we ran out of cages. So I went out and bought like cat's eye things, and the guy go, no, it has to be this one because of where the screws and. So
Right.
I found out there's a website called goalieparts.com. Was I telling you this
Goalie
earlier?
Parts. Okay.
Oh, goalie, and Mike Crick just said that sounds really ghoulish.
GoalieParts.com. That's
Actually,
right.
no, I think it's
You
like
replace a
I
hip,
think it's like
you know,
knee
knee.
pads and wire cages. It's not like the Harvard Medical School or whatever. There.
I'm not working on cadavers.
Right,
Have you,
right.
have you seen Past Lives, the movie?
I've got,
No, I
Oh,
haven't
you
yet.
guys did never.
Okay.
No. It's all about switching out body parts. But go ahead.
All right. So anyway,
I'm envisioning like a frozen Gump Worsley that
so-
they're taking the parts
Like
from or
Teddy
something.
Ballgame.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Eddie Giacomo or
we
something.
got 6 of these, so we're good for the next 6 years.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
And
Okay.
if they run out, then I'll give this back to Let's Play Hockey. They
Gotta give it back.
can find it.
They put the deposit down.
Yeah.
Let's play hockey, Joe.
Doug Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Well, have we killed enough time now?
No, well, we got.
Is
we
that
got,
what I am?
No. Just we got.
Let's bring Joe in and kill some time.
No, that's not what we did. Plaid, you delivered. You delivered. You absolutely delivered. Britannia delivers. He brought the Richter Award and brought good cheer
well,
to
I
us here
appreciate
tonight.
the opportunity to walk over here with the trophy. I'll go buy myself a beer on the
No,
way
please
out.
get Joe. Could somebody get Joe a beer? Where is Mr.
Come on.
AlcaChino?
Help him out.
Yes, we got to get
It's
Joe
on,
a beer.
it's on College Hockey News.
I got
Get
to
this man a
introduce
beer
you.
right here.
Do you have Guinness?
Get him
I
a
love a
beer.
Guinness.
That's on our team.
Get this man a drink. Yes,
you.
get him a drink. Joe, Mike,
Love
here
this.
Yes.
from War Road.
He is a politically incorrect Jess Myers.
I just so since I've been handed the mic, I just want to say
Yes.
on the transfer portal
Okay.
idea.
Yes.
Frank Serratori, one of the great guys in college hockey,
Absolutely.
and unquestionably the greatest quote in college hockey. His
Oh,
line,
without
coaching
doubt.
in Atlantic hockey like he does at a military academy, he said, and take this for what you will. He said, our league has become a shopping center. Atlantic
That's right,
hockey
exactly.
has become a shopping center. And the point he stated was,
Yeah.
look at last year's All Atlantic Hockey first team. 0 of those 6 players played in Atlantic hockey this year.
Wow.
And
The entire-
here's Jake Barshevsky. He's playing in the
All
Frozen
stuff.
Four for Michigan.
All
I mean,
six.
It's funny. I had an
Anthony's
Atlantic,
right
at the
here.
Frozen Four last
Atlantic
year.
hockey
Had an
every
Atlantic
week with
hockey
me.
coach say to me, "You know what? That's how we're going to recruit guys. Come here, play 2 years, be a stud, and then
Yep.
you can go somewhere else. Go to
Wow.
hockey school, go to the big. Like maybe
That's unbelievable.
Maybe that's our lane. Like we can develop you to go to a bigger school.
Yep.
Basically,
That's
an
it.
extension of.
and
juniors.
and on the major junior question, the greatest line I heard from a coach this year, and he gave it to me off the record, so I won't name him, but he said, "Hey, let him go to Prince George when he's 16. I'll take him when he's 19 and he realizes he's not going to play in the NHL. Let him go play advanced hockey for 3 years.
That's what I want.
And then when he realizes I'm not going to be a pro hockey player, but I want to get an education, come on over. We'll take you at Penn State or Bemidji State or wherever it happens to be.
Absolutely.
and even the top picks, like a kid like Celebrini, I think he's Everett, Seattle. He's one of those WHL school teams.
Yeah.
Let's say he played there as a 16-year-old. Is he not going to go to BU this year?
Is he coming back?
Why would he?
Seriously.
I'm still wondering if he's going to prom this year. He's 17. I mean, come on.
But like if you're trying to improve,
He doesn't have
yourself
a
in your draft
license,
year
but of course
or
neither do I.
whatever,
But that's
like,
another
that's
story.
another story.
Picked Heineken over Toyota a long time ago. Joe's finally going to get a beer. Thank God for that. I got a call. I was going to say, can I call my first? Excuse me. I got to call my first witness. We do have some.
You're going to phone a friend? Are we
We're
playing?
just going to say, where's Regis when I really need him? It's probably at the Golden Dome, or his ashes have been spread there or something. I don't know. But we've talked with Jess, Big Ten perspective, Michigan, certainly, and as far as giving us kind of the expert witness. Where's Barry Sheck if we need something on DNA? Okay, but
And Adam
We've-
covers all the way from North Ithaca to South Ithaca.
to South Ithaca.
All the way from Ireland, by
Yeah,
the
all
way.
the way
A
in
Guinness for our friend Joe.
And Joe Guinness, he's earned
This
a
is
Guinness
the
for coming
result
over.
of 14 trips to Belfast in the last 6 years.
That's right, exactly.
I never had a Guinness.
And speaking of the Big Ten gets into the Friendship Four or whatever it's
That's
called
right.
in Belfast this year. The
Absolutely.
Irish going back to Ireland.
And Joe has chronicled the Belfast. You can give
And the,
a shameless plug for your book.
Ring the Bell, it's called, because
Ring
for
the
instead
Bell.
of a trophy, you get this school bell. And
Yep. In Belfast.
so the gentleman Steve Thornton, who played at BU,
Yes, he did.
general
National
manager of the
champion.
Belfast Giants, and Robert Fitzpatrick.
1995.
They're coming
Steve
to
Thornton.
Naples, and they're going to visit with the Big Ten. They're going to visit with the NCAA. They're going to, I think, visit all the conferences and try to sell an expansion of get Western teams to come over. It is a great
Well, it's
experience.
a good step in that direction, having Notre Dame there, and a cool story. You know, the fighter.
Yeah, well, they go to Dublin. They play football in Dublin.
Yeah, they're the Fighting Irish. I mean, how can you not? How can you not love the idea of
Well,
them
the
going to
word of
Belfast?
fighting is not necessarily something you want to, shout from the hilltops in Belfast these days. But
Stereotypes save time, Joe.
I'm trying to go this year. I haven't been.
Oh, you gotta
I
go.
wanted to.
I'll give you a tour.
And now, with
Yeah.
Merrimack going,
Yep.
I said to my wife, like, hey, how do you?
it's really
You want to spend Thanksgiving week in Ireland? I said we can even, but maybe we'll take the kids. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just go the two of us. I don't know.
and the Titanic Museum is there.
Yep.
And the guys have the T-shirts that say it was fine when it left here.
I love the fact that 1,200 people died, but 100 years
yeah,
later we can all laugh about it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Enough time has passed.
Yeah, I'll plug the tickets again, too.
Can't say too soon.
Yeah.
How's great? They're doing shots over there. So that's
No, but back to the point about Major Junior. There doesn't have to be anything other than a lawsuit because the NCAA's record in lawsuits is not great. It's similar to my record as a goaltender.
I said it to when I was debating with a coach about this a few months ago, and I said, look, the coaches didn't want unlimited transfers either.
Right.
But it's here.
Yeah.
Right.
And I said there was an injunction. I remember the day. It was a Friday. There was an injunction filed at 10 a.m. in a court that said they couldn't enforce their transfer rules. And by 1 o'clock, there was a press release in my inbox that said they were no longer enforcing their transfer. It took 3 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
I said, we're not talking about anything crazy. Like, it's going to be like that.
well, they used to
Round the
have
clock.
They used to have the restricted earnings coach. First of all, somebody was dumb enough to call it restricted earnings, and that went to court and we threw that out.
Yep.
But then they went around it by having a volunteer position that you could not pay. So if that's not collusion, if all the schools get together and say, here's the deal, guys, we're going to give these sports a volunteer, but the rules say you can't pay them.
Yeah.
Well, that was the next one where they were fearing a lawsuit, and now they get rid of that.
And then everybody was getting an envelope as a volunteer coach, but that's another story. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, listen to Garrett complain that he
So
I wasn't going to bring that name up.
Bernie, if you don't mind, this leads into another one of the great Jack Parker stories.
Okay.
And if you don't mind me telling this one.
That's all right.
So
just as long as he doesn't do his Jack
today's
impression.
and I'll do my best Jack Parker, but
No,
it's not very
please
good.
don't.
So
Okay.
back in the day,
Ready? Okay, go ahead. Sorry,
a while ago, the Wednesday of Frozen Four, they would have the 4 press conferences, but they would have all 4 coaches up on the stage at the same time.
Yes.
And it was always, we're looking forward to, gentleman's agreement, all of that. We're looking forward to great games. We're not taking anybody lightly. All the cliches. We got to get pucks deep.
We gotta
we got to stay above pucks.
Stay above the puck.
Stay above pucks.
Yeah.
Get pucks deep.
Pucks to the net, bodies to the net.
Pucks to the net, and establish our ground game. I
back
hear that one a
pressure.
lot.
Back pressure.
That's back pressure. Exactly.
Inevitably,
puck support.
Inevitably, this always devolved into a, where is college hockey going? Where is it going to expand? Are you going to change the rules? Whatever. This was one of those, I think, 19 years in a row that BU was in it, and in the mid-90s. And
Remember those years?
we'd get on the topic
Vaguely.
of face masks, go to half shields,
I remember this.
whatever.
Okay, I remember
Jack
where
was
this one's
very
going.
passionate about that.
And Jack made it very clear that he believed half shields were the way to go, or get rid of face masks. It would improve the game, whatever. We said, Jack, so you're against face masks? Yes, I am. Do you think this will change? No, I do not. And why don't you think it will change, Jack? And it's a great line. One word. He just leaned into the mic and says, lawyers.
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 That's right. That was one word. That's all necessary.
Hey, he could have been a great lawyer.
He absolutely. He missed his calling there.
Yeah.
Hey, what's 897 wins among fights,
He did
right?
all- he did all.
Absolutely.
He did all.
Once again, our night and all season long hockey on campus on Sirius XM NHL Radio, presented by AlcaChino, not Al Pacino. Once again, I'm in the dark over here. Premium boozy lattes,
Hoo-ah!
real
Very good.
ingredients, real spirits, because coffee is the new buzz. We also, James Allison assisting and opportunity to win tickets to the Frozen Four and primo seats. Joe also factored into that, as a matter of fact, truth be told.
Yeah, that was easy.
You're in the game. It was easy. Have you met Greg? I don't know if you met Greg. I don't know if you want to meet Greg, but Greg's here. Mr. AlcaChino is here.
I think the check cleared.
The check cleared, exactly. Came through our offshore account, as a matter of fact. I want to call a witness up here. I don't know if he's done eating, but Andrew Mahoney. Andrew's is Andrew just eating now? Andrew?
It looks it, yeah.
Okay, he's in the middle of eating. Okay. I was going to call my first witness here. I'd like to call Andrew Mahoney to the stand from the Boston Globe. Andrew, how are you? Nice to see you.
I wish we did this before I had 4 AlcaChinos, but let's see how this goes. All right.
Well, we actually timed it. We're experimenting, as a matter of fact.
Sure. Yeah. What could go wrong?
Just don't be like Dave Starman, who
Want me to turn it?
made the mistake of sampling one and plugging AlcaChino and then having to go back on the air covering the World Junior Tournament. And he
wearing my tie.
He regretted
imagine
that.
that
That's
as
right.
well.
Canada Cup tie.
He really regretted that. But
Good to see you. Didn't realize I was sitting next to
Joe
him, right?
Britannia, ladies
I
and
was a
gentlemen.
homeless guy, didn't you?
You saw him bring in the.
Bernie brings the guy off the street.
that's
Gives him a
right.
beer. What a nice
Well,
guy.
Turns out to be a ventriloquist.
Well, we're
Look at the
taking
box.
pictures of
Yeah.
pictures
Say
of the
hello,
Richter
people.
trophy. I'm like,
Oh,
wait, Joe's
people.
usually carrying that around. I'm like,
That's
oh, all
right.
right, that
Let's
makes
go.
sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Phil, what's the guy at the Stanley Cup name? Phil
Oh,
something?
Phil. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name.
The
I met him before too.
The keeper of the cup. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
The white
Can't think of
gloves.
his name.
Yeah.
That's
with the
good.
white gloves.
No white gloves for Joe here. Yeah.
No, I'm going to get like gardening gloves or something.
Andrew, you have followed these BU and BC teams, I guess, as closely as anybody, and can offer as much neutrality as Switzerland, I guess, to say that you can reside somewhere in the middle of the green line, B tracks. But it has been, I never used the word interesting, very compelling season in Hockey East, the league that Joe presided over for so long. I think Joe has some great pride about BU and BC being back and being back and on the big stage here. Pride
Excuse
for the
me for a
league.
second. If
Yeah.
he starts to leave the building, tackle him and grab the trophy.
That's right, exactly. Women and children first. And we got Tim Mahoney, the owner, and Tim is a gold. Tim, we got the Richter Trophy here,
No
so
relation.
got to have Tim take a shot here with the trophy.
All right.
But Andrew, it has been. I talked about it earlier. The burden of proof for these two teams, very high expectations. They've lived up to them. They're both here. They're both looking to have a chance to play for a national championship on Saturday. When you think back of the great ride that it's been to cover Hockey East this year, and you've been right there on the front lines of covering it, what are some of the things that maybe a couple of the more compelling points that come to mind about what this season was all about for you in the Boston Globe and the great coverage that you offered all year?
Oh, well, thank you. I think it's like you said, just living up to the expectations. When we were talking about this in the preseason, I was telling my boss, and you don't want to give into hyperbole, but I'm like, this feels like Red Sox Yankees in 03 and 04. We knew the great line that BC was bringing in. So then BU goes out and gets Celebrini, and it was just like this.
The arms race.
Yeah, that's what it really felt like. You go back to Sox Yankees with they get Mussina, the Sox sign Manny. Like that's kind of what this felt like. And so to see that play out where they end up being 1 and 2. And now they both make the Frozen Four. Now it's Celebrini and Gauthier both in the Hobie hat trick. Mm-hmm. It's every year you kind of have expectations, you have hopes. It doesn't always pan out that way, and there's still, they're playing Denver and Michigan, and it's certainly not a given that either one of these teams gets in the championship game. But just the idea that they're both in the Frozen Four for the first time in 34 years is pretty cool.
It's been really 1990s the last time, and of course their paths didn't cross. I mean, they ended up BC and BU ended up losing to Colgate that year,
right?
And BC against Wisconsin. And Wisconsin ended up beating Colgate for the national
Who was the captain for BC that year?
Was it Greg Brown?
Yeah,
it was Greg Brown. Yes, man. Mike Sullivan for BU. And that's right,
Damn,
it
I
was
read
Greg
your
Brown.
column this morning. I should have known that.
Whatever happened to him? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Greg Brown. That's right. Where are they now, Andrew?
Yeah, exactly.
But really, that's with the subplot of both of them being back and being back on this big stage, and it's such a high level this year. Adam's theory. Adam Wood was on earlier, and he is of the theory that Boston College played their toughest game against Quinnipiac. He doesn't see them challenged again like they were against Quinnipiac. You covered that game. I mean, I think challenge is an understatement when you're down 2 in that setting.
Yep.
To come back again and then to win the game in overtime. I mean, you battle hard, and you got to be battle hardened to get here. You got to be challenged somewhere along the way. But to be challenged in that particular game to the extent that they were it speaks volumes, I think, about this BC team.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you go back to, was it the night before Thanksgiving, BU did the same thing where they fell down 2 goals to Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
And I can remember watching that game when Quinnipiac went up 2, and I'm like, Quinnipiac doesn't lose these games. You know, then BU came back and won. And then same thing in the tournament. I'm like, oh boy, you know, I as soon as the draw came out, I felt like if Quinnipiac got by Wisconsin, I thought that they were going to give BC a really tough game. They've got that pedigree. They had that great line that came back for one more year. And, when they got up 2, I thought that this might have been the end of the ride and the end of the hopes of a BU BC Frozen Four.
We don't know what BC is going to do, but if they are successful this weekend, that game was so important because they really didn't. The goals came pretty easy in Boston. What was it, 14-3 in the 2 games?
8-6,
And so, there was a great display, but you're going to get tested somewhere, and that was certainly a test on Easter Sunday.
Which they passed. And BU, and I mentioned it today at the press conference, and I can literally say BU fans from 9 to 90, because I do talk to BU fans from 9 to 90. As I say that my life is very limited, as we know. Have talked about just the solace and the confidence they take from the third period that BU played against Minnesota to get here. I mean, arguably the best third period that they played all year against Minnesota at, once again, the most opportune time in order to be able to lock that game down and be able to advance into the Frozen Four.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4-3 going into the third. You're thinking that's going to be a 7-6 game. And for them to lock that down and then put it away with the 2 empty netters, that was really impressive. I mean, I didn't think that they were going to hold Minnesota scoreless in the third period. I thought they would. I had a really good feeling that they were going to win. But I thought they were going to have to pump in a few goals, and like I said, it was going to be a high-scoring game. So to shut them down was awesome.
Yeah, the way it was really, I think it gives BU confidence in terms of coaches preach all year about playing a certain way and playing a certain way with the lead and being able to manage the game and all the rest of it. But they displayed it. I mean, they played up to it in that third period. Now it's a question of, can you sustain it? Can you be consistent in your play?
And that's something that they struggled. Jay talked about that they weren't finishing games, that they weren't putting teams away earlier in the year. And then they managed to do that when they really needed to do it.
And I think maybe an underrated aspect of the BU team, everybody's going to talk, why wouldn't they talk about 71-20 with Celebrini and Lane Hudson? But a guy that I think has risen to maybe another level in terms of go-to and impact is number 9, is Ryan Green, in terms of how he's played and what he's contributed to the BU team down the stretch. Is a guy that's, I think, as maybe not as impactful as those 2 guys, but can be as impactful as those 2 guys.
Well, yeah, this time of year, you're going to need guys like that to step up. You're not yet as great as 71-20 are. You can't ride them the whole way. You need other guys to step up, and he's certainly been doing that.
Got to be strong down the middle.
What's that?
Got to be strong
down the middle. Exactly. Mike coaches, so he knows.
That's where it starts.
Mike, anything that you want to just to add of your observations? Obviously, you guys is long time and well invested in Hockey East this year and how the whole season's played out. And I've just talked to everybody as far as this season. And Joe, there's been some years that Hockey East has been more special than others in terms of the quantity and the quality of the league. I put this, and I've covered the league since the beginning, I put this season up right at the top in terms of the quantity and quality of what these teams had to get through to get to this point.
I don't know if this is right. Nate Lehman told me if he had one more win, he could have been seeded 11th. Is that possible?
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
That's amazing.
And Northeastern had a very good team, and they knocked off BU twice or once.
Yeah, twice. In regular season. Yeah.
So when your 5th and 6th teams are of that level, when I worked there, I was always you would appreciate this. Part of the job as a commissioner is you're like the official cheerleader. And I always felt a little self-conscious because I also wanted to be a national guy, not an Eastern guy. But they were paying me to be that guy. But one of the things we used to say all the time is if your 5th and 6th and 7th teams have wins against the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, that backs up when you say we have depth.
Yeah, that's true.
If it falls off the map.
Yeah.
And I know Jack used to say back when Ron Mason was getting all his wins, he'd say, hey, he's got 16 guaranteed wins every year. Because the CCHA, I think then
wasn't
there
too
was
far off, as a matter of
there
fact.
was kind of a drop off.
Oh, yeah. Huge, precipitous drop off. That's when you had Illinois, Chicago.
That might have been a little
Kent
bit
State.
of a Jack
Yeah, that was a
Ronnie.
little, maybe Jack hyperbole there, a little bit. Yeah. Not that Jack would ever
No.
exhibit hyperbole.
No.
You were on the other end of plenty of those conversations. Joe will not respond without his attorney present right now. As a matter
The
of
word
fact.
scarred comes to mind.
He was scarred for life. And the fact that they're both still in the fish city of Gloucester, you can occasionally bump
Yeah,
into
but
Jack.
he's in the
Routinely.
high rent
He's in
district.
Annisquam, yeah, excuse me.
He
He's
and
in
Ben Smith are over with the
the
cabins
village.
and the lodges, I'm with the Bacigalupos and the Chimataros on the other end.
You got the vowels under the
Yeah.
name. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Lucky if you can get to the causeway. Yeah, exactly. Andrew, I hate to put you on the
By
spot
the way,
here,
did you
but
finish your dinner or is it getting cold?
no, I'm going to
It's all right. It's all
He didn't answer, so that tells you.
No, it's all good.
No, I'm going to
Get some soggy fries over
probably
there.
going to, depending on how it goes, I may be bringing Andrew back, and Adam, we're going to bring him back on Saturday, leave up all the good stuff. But that's leave it out all on the table right now. But I guess for any Boston hockey fan, and there's a number of them that I see out here right now, it only happened once in 1978 to play for a national championship. I mean, I think that we're dealing with, there is a reality that we could see something here by the banks of the Mississippi that could have been played out on a frozen Charles River.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a fan of either one of the teams, you have to feel good about your chances, but at the same time, you have to respect the opponent. I mean, it's the way Michigan's playing right now. They just look awesome. I mean, some of those goals that they was scoring against Michigan State. I mean, talk about
highlight reel.
Top 10 on SportsCenter, and then in Denver, David Carl. They just always find a way. We saw that 2 years ago in Boston. I mean, what was it, Denver and Michigan, when Michigan came in with the 7 first-round picks, and they just suffocated them. Granted, it went to overtime, but it just felt like they locked them down.
Amazing.
Obviously, different rosters now, but I do have too much respect for their opponents to just say, hey, let's fire up the duck boats for one of these teams when they get back. But I think if you're a fan of BU and BC, you got to feel good about it at least. You definitely have a shot.
Great to be back at that level, and it's not surprising. Last time was 1990 because you had on display, at that time, BU could throw out, the 91 BU team, you could throw out Kachuk, Monty, and McEachran. As Jack said, I don't know, win the national championship, I should have been fired. But I mean, you threw those guys out there, and then on the other side, you had Emma McGinnis and Hines, who were pretty good, and then you had Greg Brown. BU had Peter O'Holer, and I mean, it was, this is now maybe even exceeded it because of the absolute blue chip talent of the first rounders that are playing at these two schools.
You're about to lose any member of your audience west of Worcester.
No, I know. Well, that's why I'm about to call Avash Kaura. Andrew, we're going to let you go back to your people at your table.
Yeah, I got a nice chicken parm sandwich waiting for me. It looked like it was pretty hot though, so I'm glad. I think it all cooled off.
Not
by now.
anymore.
Have Tim heat it up there. That's all right. Tim, we got the goalie award. Tim Mahoney, the entrepreneur of Zambonis. Never won the Richter Award, by the way.
He said he almost won it, but they confused him with somebody
They
else.
confused him with somebody else in case of mistaken identity.
Seems like a nice guy, but definitely no relation. I just want to
No
point that out.
relation.
Okay, all right.
West of the Mississippi.
I don't know if I were you, I'd play that until the bill comes.
Cousin Tim.
I got
That's right.
Rochi picking up the tab,
okay.
so we're all
That's
set.
This is on Channel 4.
That's
okay.
right.
So just make sure at the end of the meal, just say Bell, Gracie, and Dan Roach. The rest of the Eyewitness News team. Make it a
Although
good night.
I did say that if you do end up having Belle on, I'm going to insist that you introduce her as Globe correspondent.
Oh, I
and not
will.
This whole BHP.
Oh, I mean, yeah, this is
Even
we
if
got
she does end up Wally pipping me, that's fine.
if they're calling for your playbook, I was going to say on Morrissey Boulevard. I'm showing my age.
Yeah.
Andrew, thanks very much.
Thank you.
God bless. Great to have you.
All right.
I'm going to call my next witness. I'd like to call to the stand. I'd like to call Avash Kaur to the stand to talk about the Denver Pioneers. And if he says Pios, Jack Parker will hunt you down and kill you. Okay? I talked to Jack the other day, and Jack mortally offended by Pios. Oh, yeah, okay. Why don't we do that now? Once again, our evening and Hockey on Campus on Sirius XM NHL Radio, presented all season by AlcaChino, premium boozy lattes, real ingredients, real spirits, because coffee is the new buzz. And if you don't believe me, ask Greg Howard of Howie Spike Beverages. The raffle has been completed, and am I going to draw the ticket?
Yeah, you draw the ticket.
Okay. These guys have met. This is like Nixon and Cho and Lyon, 72.
Yeah.
Okay. Historic
Leave
meeting.
the $10 bill in there, Bernie. I
Okay.
saw you.
And take the cannoli.
Yeah.
Maybe your next Guinness there. I might take that
That's your
$10
next
bill.
taxi ride.
All right, wait a minute.
There it is.
wait
The
a
winner.
second.
It just hopped
No,
out
wait a
on its
second. No.
own.
It just jumped up by itself.
All right. Is that going to be the winner?
Oh, yeah.
Because it hopped out?
absolutely.
It has to be.
Our winning ticket of the best seats in the house for the Frozen Four, I kid you not, American Hockey Coach Association. 622-3273. 622-3273 is our winning ticket.
Yeah, we got to go find who they.
We got to
I
go
don't know
find the
who
winner.
belongs to.
Bree is going to have to go seek the winner.
It's a
They might
big
be in
place.
another area or
Oh, yeah.
might be in the men's room. You never know.
You never know.
Okay. We get the
I
winning
have
ticket.
heard the seats are fantastic.
We let Jess, I don't know if there was any Michigan people here. So Jess Myers represented the Big Ten. Andrew Mahoney talked about BU and BC, kind of a little Switzerland act there of neutrality. But now Avash Kara from the Great Rocky Mountains, College Hockey News.
Bernie, thanks.
Always a pleasure, Avash. One of, as I always like to say, friend of the show.
You don't come out to Colorado as often as you should.
I
we
probably
should be skiing.
should.
There's a warrant.
We should be skiing
There
together.
should be,
Has something to do with a warrant.
I mean, there might be an
few
outstanding.
states.
It-
There might
it's
be an
not as cold as
outstanding
people
warrant.
think it is.
It's
There's a
not.
great snow in the
I
mountains.
was amazed.
And
Every
it's
time,
not a speeding ticket. We know that.
No, we know it's not a
every time I
speeding ticket.
record without him, he's like, "Oh, I played golf today." I go, "It's January. How you
It's
playing
January.
golf?" in
Not
Denver?"
playing
The
golf,
joke
exactly.
in Denver is you're not supposed to talk about the weather to other people because then more people will move to Denver.
That's exactly that's right. Well, maybe a show at Red Rocks will bring me
There
up.
you go.
I've never seen a show at Red
Oh,
Rocks.
I have. It's awesome.
It is
Yeah,
beautiful.
I'd love to see a show there. But Avash, you kind of bringing you in as our expert witness on the Denver, and I'm going to say Pioneers because no Pios, but this is a non-Pio zone. Okay?
Understood.
Pio-free zone.
DU.
Yeah, that's
for the
right.
Pios.
DU, the Denver Pioneers, and the Sons of Murray Armstrong.
How can it be DU if it's not Denver University?
It's like CU is the University of Colorado.
All right, all right.
OU, University
Oh,
of
that's
Oklahoma.
interesting.
There's
I
some
didn't consider
precedent.
that.
It always bothered me.
EIEIO.
It's a Colorado thing. It must be.
Yeah, it's a Colorado thing. It's a little unique to the Rocky Mountains.
Reverse it.
But
It's the altitude.
this Denver team, amazing for a team that number one seed, NCHC, pretty tough league to negotiate. Champions, win the tournament right here in this very city, right across the street, is somewhat maybe being overlooked now, maybe somewhat disrespected. I'm sure maybe Coach Carl is maybe playing this up a little bit. But Avash, as a guy that covered this team on a regular basis, I mean, can I make the assumption? Can I go out on a limb and say this team is pretty good? I mean, they're pretty deep, and they're a pretty good team overall. And I mean, there was some mitigated circumstances this year, the goalie, etc. Playing at a high level now and actually capable of winning 2-1 games.
Yeah, they put it together. Obviously, the last few weeks, they actually have 11 10-goal scorers on the team. They have 14 20-point scorers. Both of those are the most in the country. So the depth was able to fill in for the loss of Massimo Rizzo, Carter King there for a little bit. And then, goaltend. I mean, it was a little rough early in the season watching some of their goaltending, honestly. We didn't know at the time that Matt Davis suffered an injury in that game, probably against Augustana, and they lost at Magnuson Arena.
Like 5 games into the season.
Yeah, exactly. Game 5. And then he was gone for 2 months, and then he started every game, since January.
He had a
And
great March. I know
he's
that.
really put it
Goalie of the
together.
month.
He's really put it together. And, the backups behind him are unproven. He had that cramping episode in Springfield in double overtime, which was GU's longest game ever, by the way, in program history. And it looked like he might not be able to continue. He did, but if he hadn't been able to, I'm not really sure what would have happened.
Hey, can you talk about the freshman defenseman? And I hesitate to mispronounce his name.
Zeev Buyam.
He's a pretty special player.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, obviously his brother Shai, as a junior, he won the national championship as a freshman. And Shai is a second-round NHL draft pick. There were high expectations for Zeev. They both grew up in San Diego. They have an older brother, Ben, I believe is his name. And I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. But the older brother was the first person in the whole family to play hockey. And then Shai and Zeev kind of followed. And obviously have excelled. There were high expectations for Zeev, but he came in, and I mean, he's second in the team in points. He leads the team in assists. He sees the ice really well from an offensive standpoint. I mean, he just, I mean, some of the plays that he makes, and hopefully we get to see it on display a little bit this weekend, are just spectacular. And he's really taken. I mean, he's probably going to be a top 10 pick in the NHL draft this summer.
Oh yeah, perspective right now.
He's I mean, he's moved up the sort of mock draft boards as the year has gone on, just because of his play. You know, defensively, that was the question as the season's gone on, whether or not Barons and the Bouillon brothers and incorporating some other freshmen, Boston Buckberger and Cale Ashcroft.
It's a great name, by the way.
It is
That
a
is
great
an
name,
all-time
especially
name.
this weekend.
All-name team. Yeah.
Especially this
Might
weekend.
go to the wrong locker room.
They had a goalie committed that was supposed to. I know he never went there. I think he went to WHL instead, but his
Yep.
name was Boston.
Yes,
Boston by Lois.
that's right.
Really?
Was
I didn't know that.
His brother,
That's right.
I know his brother. His brother went to Merriman.
No relation to Boston Buckberger.
No,
But,
these Boston guys are making their way to Denver.
There we go.
There you go.
Boston,
No,
Boston Corbett apprehended John Wilkes Booth, by the way,
Yes, I've
Just to bring
read
Lincoln
about that in the
Manhunt?
in the Lincoln assassination. I'm sorry. I digress. Okay.
Yeah,
No more of
too
that.
soon.
As you were
too
wont
soon.
to do.
Too soon. That's right. 1865. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Right, yeah.
But I'm sorry to interrupt.
We've
But you're
already,
talking about
we've
you're
already
fine.
made fun of the Titanic.
Yeah,
so why not?
fine when it left here, as they say in Belfast. But just a great T-shirt, by the way, for you people that have not been to Belfast. But
Can I give up my spot for Frank?
well,
Or is that not on the script?
Speaking of Colorado,
I think
Yeah,
Frank,
exactly.
Frank has been
Well, it's a good
drinking,
time.
so he would have wanted to come on, I guess. Frank Serratori, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be here all week, I believe. Try the veal. Frank Serratori. How do you not celebrate college hockey without Frank Serratori? Speaking of the Rocky Mountains.
yes.
But you were talking about the Denver, about defense.
Yeah,
and-
they incorporated these younger guys, and yeah, as I think we all know by now, those games last weekend at the regional were their first 2-1 games of the season, and they really put it together. They were outshot, in the Denver game, and capitalized. Matt Davis made a great save at the end of the game. Pretty impressive defensively. So everyone obviously keeps talking about the offenses, but especially tomorrow, I think in the Denver BU game, the key is really which team can keep up the defense without any question.
Matt Davis was a rock star in
Yep.
the regionals. That save he said right at the end of the Cornell game was big. He was fantastic in the overtime against UMass. UMass earlier in that game was taking it to him a little bit.
Yeah.
And for a guy that had some ups and downs earlier in the year, Davis was lights out that whole weekend.
Yep.
By the way, that's
Is that the bullpen phone?
Bruce McLeod. How's that for
Wow,
an oldie
it's
but
good.
goodie?
It's been name dropping here. WCHA commissioner. You never know who's going to be calling Joe's phone.
Wow.
You know what I
The
mean?
last one was Leslie Visser. That's a pretty good,
Jeez.
daily double.
Talk about the Globe, Leslie Visser.
That's
my gosh.
impressive.
Yeah,
The only
absolutely.
people who've called
just
me
tell
while I've
them
been
to-
here are my mom and my wife.
I schedule people to call. So I
This
can
is all-
say that.
This is all premeditated.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Lincoln assassination. They got right
Oh,
back there.
boy.
It's a segue
Oh,
right
boy.
there.
Too
But,
soon.
Oh gosh.
But defense, I know you guys have all been right. I said about the defense wins championships, but as you see it, as you see into tomorrow here, your crystal ball of this Denver team, if they displayed enough defensive metal coming through that regional for you to say they can get it done against BU tomorrow, you won't be the least bit surprised if they can get it done. I mean,
Certainly wouldn't be surprised at all. And this is a wide open Frozen Four. I mean, any of the four teams obviously can win the national championship. It's hard to predict. I mean, there are several players who won the national title on the DU team just 2 years ago, and that experience obviously counts for something. So BU obviously has experience as well. They were here last year and lost in the same round. So it's going to be, and they're both 9-1 in their last 10 games too. So that it's hard to pick. It's pretty even coming in, but the experience on either side will be a key in addition to the defense.
David's a great young coach. He's
Oh, no
34
question.
years old.
amazing. Yeah.
I still call him Doogie Howser. He's the Doogie Howser of coaches. I still can't believe it. Like when Doogie Howser be writing prescriptions for people on that show. I'm like, how the hell is he able to write a prescription?
That's
Show up
true.
at
You just have to
CVS.
graduate medical school, it turns out.
Well, somebody that has, by the way, because Avash is a real doctor. He doesn't just play one on TV, by the way. Yes.
Well, yeah.
How's that going for you? Is
I have a face for radio.
This is that
TV.
medical thing? Is the medical thing getting in the way of college hockey? Be
No,
honest
not
with
at
me.
all. No,
just-
no, I have a physician at University of Colorado, liver transplant specialist,
Wow.
You just want to hang out with
I
us?
take the week off for the Frozen Four every year, and I love doing it. I joke. So just as a quick side note here.
Yes.
I did this before I went to medical school. I
did.
thought that I was going to, go
Got
into
you through.
journalism and do that first.
Adam paid your way through medical school.
People
A lot
ask
of people
me,
don't
right,
know
right.
that.
Oh, yeah, he paid my way, right? Yeah, I got to get an extra cup of coffee a month. But when
Couldn't have made it
when
without him.
people ask me, you're doctor, how do you do this? I sort of joke that I do a hockey rider, and I fit in the medicine
On the
part.
side.
Yeah, exactly.
By
Yeah,
day or by
because
night.
I did this first.
I'm sure the patients want to hear that.
Yes.
They're not listening to this.
They're out.
Patients are worried about the CC plus minus, I think, is what the most of the
There you
patients
go.
are worried about. That's their concern. But so, I mean, once again, I guess you really hit on it, I think, Avash, that I think the consensus has got to be as we go into the semifinals tomorrow. I think we can kind of take upset out of our lexicon for tomorrow.
Yep.
I mean, whatever way these games go at this point, I think that's why I've been calling witnesses. You can make cases for everybody, I think, right now.
Yeah, well, and if you have to be reminded there were 28 championship banners hanging in these four schools.
Yeah.
9-9
It's
or
amazing,
5
isn't
and
it?
5.
You
Yeah.
don't get to any Frozen Four without a really good shot to win it, and let alone the pedigree of these four programs. So
No question. And actually, we just talked. We had Andrew Mahoney up here from the Globe, and we talked about the strength of Hockey East. And Joe could give historical perspective to the strength, and Mike to the strength of Hockey East over a long period of time. The NCHC, you've been there really from the beginning, covering it.
Yep.
This year, as opposed to some of the years, I mean, there's been a lot of, as opposed to the Big Ten, a lot of champions have come out of the NCHC, and a lot of different champions. What about the NCHC this year? How do you maybe rate it compared to some of the other years that they've produced national champions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to compare any conference. I think year to year, things evolve and change. There were obviously several NCHC teams made the tournament, and North Dakota, Western, and so forth kind of bowed out obviously early on. But it's a strong league, just like Hockey East, and honestly, throughout college hockey, I mean, it's the second half of the season. A lot of these leagues are playing playoff style games every single weekend.
Leading up
So that's why you see these kinds of programs back here in the Frozen Four. They're ready to go because they've been prepared for it. Arizona State joins the NCHC next year. That's kind of the thing worth mentioning.
you're going to make that road trip, are you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the Coyotes won't be there anymore, but that's a separate story. I
Many
guess.
different things about that today on the flight.
Yes.
All on the plane. Like in the 3 hours we were on the plane, I read they were leaving Phoenix.
Yep.
Or they were leaving Arizona. They were going to Salt Lake. And then, wait a minute, they'll be in Salt Lake by April 18th. And then, no, they're going to stay in Arizona. 3 different stories in 2.5 hours.
I couldn't keep. I was same. I couldn't keep track of it. But regardless, Arizona State, coming as a 9th team, it's going to change a little bit of the format of how they do the postseason in the NCHC. It's going to be going to campus sites soon, just like a lot of other leagues have done. But it'll be a nice new. A lot of the NCHC teams play Arizona State just because of
On a regular
geography.
basis,
Denver's
yeah.
right there, Colorado College is right there, so they've had a lot of series out there. But it'd be nice to add them to the league as the 9th team.
Who's going to
Absolutely.
complain about going to Tempe in January?
Answer
complaints.
nobody.
Yeah.
I would be all. I advocated at one point for that for Hockey East. I said, if Hockey East wanted a 12 school, take Arizona State.
There you go.
BU athletic director
All right, great.
endorsed that idea.
Really?
But he was coming from an idea of we have a lot of donors living out there.
Oh,
And
okay.
you only have to go out once every other year,
Yeah.
and you make a trip, and you write it. Somebody writes a check.
Who doesn't want to go to Tempe?
Yeah.
And it says, Arizona State brings something to your league.
You
too.
guys
They're-
remember when Northern Arizona had a team?
The Lumberjacks.
When they folded, Bill Began wanted to have a draft of their players, and somebody had to tell them that, no,
This is
Bill, they can go anywhere they want to go.
It's like this is like
That's a true story.
Like a dispersal draft or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
when remember, of course, the great Terry Slater from
Colgate.
who had the background with the WHA, and he'd call Coach Parker all the time and say, "Jack, I'd really like this job if we could make trades," because that was illegal.
The general.
Avash, thank you.
Thank you.
Get back to your AlcaChino or your
Will
next
do.
patient.
Will do.
It's about time that Avash should be
Thanks,
doing
Joe.
something
Yes, nice to
meaningful
meet you
with his
too.
life. Liver transplants. I mean, come on, Avash, will you? Step it up, you
Cheers.
slacker.
Cheers.
Absolutely. God bless.
Thanks, Bernie.
Avash Kaur, ladies and gentlemen. Avash, thank you. I'm going to call my next witness.
I thought you'd have a starter jacket on. I missed the days when you went to the press conference with your Viking starter jacket.
I still got it. Let me tell you.
You still got it in a lot of ways,
Yeah,
Frank.
no. Yeah.
And another man that needs no introduction.
That's the newest thing in my wardrobe. Is that Viking starter jacket? Yes.
From when Fran Tarkinen was playing.
Yeah. Yes.
Fran Tarkinen. Yeah, exactly.
Tommy Kramer. So you want to go back? No.
Number 9, Tommy Kramer.
Hey, the scars go way back.
That's
Let me tell
absolutely.
you.
You're still waiting.
I drove by your beautiful
What's a
building
couple
today,
of missed field goals among friends, right? Jess reminds all the time.
I'll tell you what, Bertie, you never looked so good.
Thank you.
And you know why?
Like my late father would say, $1 million after taxes.
You know what? You never look so good because you're surrounded by 2 old Italian goalies. That's why.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're only a couple of years away from sitting on the stoop, maybe a little bocce, a little red wine with no label on the bottle.
You got to have the bocce and Fino.
And we got another goalie, Jess Myers, at the table.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, we're taking this thing over right now.
That's right.
We're taking it over.
And Tim Mahoney of Zambonis is a goalie from Rochester, Minnesota.
Unbelievable. You know what? It's a good
Frank
thing.
Serratori, ladies and gentlemen, head coach at the Air Force Academy.
America's team, by the way. He went.
Absolutely.
I was in
America's
Milwaukee
team.
at Christmas time, saw his team play 2 games there. He said, they say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. Forget about it. It's the service academy.
We are America's team. There's no question
What would
about
Brian
that.
Riley say about that?
Yes. Brian is East Coast America's team.
Okay, all right.
That's
Yes.
Yes. West of the Mississippi.
The East Coast elites.
Absolutely. But you know what? The old goalies, Joe, it's a good thing we played when we did at 5'9", because now we'd be the student manager now. Yeah.
There were some nights I played like the student manager.
We all did.
And she was...
People say, you were a goalie? I said, yeah, not a good one, though, or I'd still be playing.
That's right. Still be playing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, as you look at this Frozen Four, you've got some experience playing against these teams. How do you see it? We talk about, Coach Parker likes to say brand name college hockey. We got it here with these 4 schools.
Well,
your take, your assessment.
Well, first of all, at one time, remember, Joe, when we used to talk about this team has this many NHL draft choices, this team has this many NHL draft choices. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, college hockey's gotten so good now. Now you're not talking about draft choice. You're talking about these guys. Every one of these teams has at least a handful of guys that are going to play in the NHL. They're not just draft choices. They're going to play. And college hockey is so good. Look, this tournament this weekend. It's a really good. This could be the Calder Cup right now. This could be these be a really good American League. These are very good American League teams. And when you look at some of the teams in college hockey, with the COVID 5th year, some of these guys are 25 or 26 years old. I mean, right to
AARP, Frank.
I'm just telling you,
the Frozen Four.
I mean, some of these teams these ones happen to be a lot of young stars on these blue blood teams. But like in our league, a lot of the teams in our league, they're older than the American League teams. Hey, those American League teams have limits on how many pro games you can play, so it keeps the league young. But this is a star-studded tournament. It's fully vested, fully blue blood. To be honest with you, the final 8 were pretty much all blue blood. I wouldn't quite put Quinnipiac in the blue blood because they have to do it the old-fashioned way a little bit. But all the rest are all glamour schools. They're from power conferences, and I think in the future, the way the rules are now, you're going to be seeing a lot of the teams like this. But in looking at these four teams, obviously anybody can win it. They're all loaded with stars. The one that I think that I think is really the one that you got to watch out for in a sneaky way is Denver. And the reason I'm saying it is if you look at scoring depth, all the teams have got good goaltenders. They all got stars. But when you're looking at scoring depth, BU, BC, I believe, have got 8 guys with 24 or more points. Michigan's got 7 guys with 24 or more points. Denver's got 13. 13. They're scoring depth. Now, and another big factor with that is if Maximo Rizzo comes. Well, that's the only of one of these.
Said he's going to play. Yeah.
Well, if
he's going to play.
When
that was the word today.
We played them in November, and I mean, in that game that we played against them, he was hands down the best player in the game. I don't watch the other team when I'm coaching. I watch my team for their positioning and that. Let me tell you, number 13 found me over and over and over
He got
again.
your attention.
And he got my attention in a big time way. But Denver's they are deep at, like, all these teams are all got good players. But when you talk about the best players, in a game, in a tournament like this, your best players have to be your best players. I think Denver's got more. They might not have the very top guys, but they've got more. They got a pile of that next level.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when you have team depth like that, 13 guys that have, hey, I love Lane Hudson. I love him. And I think he was the guy, the odd man
I saw
out.
him last year. Remember in Arizona last year.
And I watched him in the regionals. And the 3 Hobie finalists all so deserved. To be honest with you, I think they nailed it. I think those were I thought there was 4 guys. I thought it was those 3, the 3 they picked, and I thought Hudson was.
And Lane, yep.
I did. I had him in. When you look at the scoring, when you look at a guy like Celebrini, he had like 26 more points than the next forward on his team. Like, how do you do that? Jackson Blake. I say Jason. I remember his dad. Jackson Blake had 21 more points than the next player on North Dakota's team. He had 61 points. The next player on North Dakota's team had 39. Like, how do you gap that? And then with Celebrini, like, he did it 27, 28 points more than the next forward on his team. And the guy just hit puberty a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
barely shaven right now.
Unbelievable. And Hudson, of course, is the next scorer.
Special player.
Yeah, is the next scorer on that team. So, and then when you have all those stars on BC. They're all going to play in the NHL. Leonard, they're all stars. But with Gauthier, and I remember Jack Parker. I called Jack one year. We had a kid named Jacques Lamoureux, and I was trying to promote him for All-American.
I remember him.
And I called Jack to ask him if he would support Jacques Lamoureux. And Jack goes, well, he goes, what kind of numbers do you have, Frank? I go, he had 33 goals. Jack goes, Frank, 33 goals is 33 goals. I don't care what league you're playing in. 33 goals is 30. He goes, Frank, he's got my vote.
Yep.
And I said it on the Hobie call the other day. When you get to Gauthier, 37 goals.
That gets your attention.
37 goals is 37
Wait a minute,
goals.
Frank.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
yeah,
We can reprise our Hobie debate right here.
We can get that going.
We were
for
both
sure,
on the
Adam. Yes.
call.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were. Yeah, yeah.
And we were having the same exact argument.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
but getting back, and we'll close. We'll get to that, Adam. But getting out to close, like I said, I think Denver is a veteran team. Hey, and they've got a young star, Zeev Bain.
Well, with Bain, yeah.
We just talked about him. Yeah.
Hey, like Zeev Bain couldn't be a Hobie finalist. Gavin Brindley is no Hobie.
Look at their numbers.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have more than 10 Hobie finalists. We should have 12. We should, in my opinion. When they started the Hobie, you guys got me going now. When they started the Hobie back in '81,
Doesn't take much. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
Us three
a lot of
fossils.
prodding here, Joe.
Us 3 fossils were there in '81 when Neil Broughton got the first Hobie. Keep in mind, back then they had a top 10 finalists, but do you know how many Division I teams there was? There's 64 now. You know how many there was in '81?
40 maybe.
34, and there was
Wow.
only 3 leagues: the ECAC, the CCHA
It's
was a
almost
new
double.
league,
Yeah,
and the
right.
WCHA.
It's almost double.
It's almost double.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the NHL draft choices. Like college hockey, major, junior still had the majority of the high end guys. I remember the first Hobie finalists. They had Division II and Division III players.
That's right. Tommy Sasso
mixed
from
in.
Babson College was a Division III
That's
Hobie
right.
winner.
D3, yep.
Yes. They had a young man, Henches, that played up at St. Thomas. I remember he was one of the first ones. And then a couple years later, Joel Otto was one.
That's right.
But when you look at how many guys that we have that not only are NHL drafted, but they are matter-of-factly going to play in that league.
Oh, well, question.
Hey, we're
These
producing.
stars. Yeah.
We're producing over a third of the players for the NHL right
Over
now.
33% right now. CHI figures. Yep.
And that number's not going down. It's
No.
not going down anytime soon.
No.
It's not. And no, we have a wonderful product, and anybody, I tell people in Colorado, like I don't care when you're watching college hockey in Colorado. I don't care if you're at down at Robeson Arena or if you're at Magnus or if you're at the Cadet Ice Arena. You're watching college hockey. You are watching a high entertaining brand of hockey, I take some pride in that. You take some pride. Joe should take immense pride. Joe, Joe is not only a pioneer and a legend, but also a historian.
It's basically old.
Old, but a historian of the
Said it
game.
in a nice way, though.
Yeah, no, it was very nice.
But how fun has it been for you to watch the evolution of things and how they've gone? But getting back to who my favorite, if I have to pick one, I mean anybody can win it, and it's your best players are going to have to be your best players. But I think Denver, they're well coached. They can play a wide open game with you, or they can play a shutdown game with you. I think it was huge for Denver. They've scored all these points all year. They got 13 guys like I said, with over 24 points, 13 of them. But in the regional, they had to beat 2-1 games.
Right.
They had
twice.
to win. Yep. And they played without Maximo Rizzo.
Who's going to be back?
And their goaltender was great, especially against UMass in that first game. UMass, I thought, should have won the game with the opportunities they had, and he stopped them. So, if I had to pick out of all these glamour queens, if I had to pick Miss America, I think I would have to. My pick would go
Miss Colorado.
Miss Colorado,
Yeah.
David Coe.
Yeah.
I'm a Denver guy now. I was there for 2
Parks
years.
when you
I
did.
picked them at the beginning of the year, actually, so I'm sticking with that. I agree, but
You're a
you know,
Denver guy.
I know, but hey, actually, I'm
you're
a
an
Cornell
Ithaca guy.
guy.
I know
I
who
want
you are.
Cornell to be here. What the heck? They lost 2-1, but Fred, so again on the Hobie thing. So you and I were going back
You
and forth.
guys are going to arm wrestle now? This is what you
No.
guys
But
did on the call?
I couldn't tell where you stood because you said the thing about 37 goals is 37 goals, right?
Yes.
But you were also kind of agreeing with the guys who were saying Celebrini, and he has many more points than the rest of his teammates. So I couldn't tell where you were landing on that.
To me, Adam, I couldn't. To me, I had to go statistically. I don't watch these other teams play. I watch Atlantic hockey. I don't scout, and I saw the regional tournament. So, when I'm on the committee and I have to look at it statistically. And when I peel back the layers of the onion, which ones ain't like the other ones?
Yeah.
And the BC guys, you cannot say that, hey, they're all great players. They're going to play in the NHL. But you can't say that they didn't. Their numbers, I don't want to say inflated, but they've all got large numbers, much in part to them playing together, especially on that power play. Look at the amount of power play goals that those four boys scored. I mean, and so that they're all great players. Hey, Leonard showed that his skill level on the goal that he scored in the region final. But those BC kids, like all those kids are good, but they all had the benefit of playing with each other. What separated them? To me, if I have to separate it on paper, the 37 goals is what separates it for me.
Yeah.
And
that's what Gauthier had. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
that's what Gauthier
right.
had. And then like Celebrini, when you score 28 more points than the next forward,
so that's
on
what I'm saying.
team.
You're saying both things. So where'd you land on that?
We're okay. I'll go through it. And I'll tell.
Yeah.
So it got down, Adam, with me. There was 4 guys. And actually, a sneaky fifth was McClellan, the goalie. But it's hard. Goalies are apples and oranges.
Yeah, I know.
When you get on those calls, they're apples. It's even hard sometimes to compare a defenseman and a guy like Hudson or Zeev Bame and Seamus Casey. They're offensemen. They're offensemen. And
they're playing Rover. There's an R next to their name.
But they're not goalies. To me, it's almost like the Heisman. No kickers ever won the Heisman. They're a different enemy. They're a different entity. Paul Horning won it and Dick Kazmaier, but they didn't win it because they were kickers.
No.
They were great running backs that also kicked. So the goalie thing.
Exactly.
But McClellan, when he was McClellan was number 1 in save percentage, number 1 in wins by quite a margin, and I think he was I think fourth. He was fourth in wins. He was number 1 in save percentage, which I think is the most important
Yeah, for sure.
statistic for goaltenders.
No doubt.
The goals against average is a team stat, But anyway, McClellan was my sneaky guy, but I knew that he's not going to be in it. When I was looking at him in Sesame Street terms, which ones ain't like the other ones, and just looking at them statistically, because I didn't watch them all play all year.
Yep.
Statistically, the ones that separated themselves for me, was Celebrini, Gauthier, and Blake because of his separation in points from the next guy in his team.
Yep.
And then you look at Hudson, you look at BU's team, there was 28 points separating Celebrini from the next forward on their team. But he only had 14 more points
right there?
than Lane Hudson.
Yeah, he's right there. Absolutely. Second leading scorer.
So to me, Adam, I really, it's those are my four guys.
He's stuck in the final.
Those are my four guys. But if I had
Never
to
going to
pick,
get it out of him. Yeah.
what if I had to pick? If Frank's picking the whole,
Well, you did have to because they're on the
yes.
committee.
We got to pick three though. We got to pick three, and if I was picking the Hobie Baker winner right now, it would be Celebrini, and based on the fact that how he outscored, how he gapped the next guy, and I know Adam, you mentioned Keith Kachuk was on there.
Yeah.
We mentioned age. It's not about age.
Yeah.
But his body of work stands on its own. And then like I said, when you take into consideration, the guy just hit puberty a year ago. He's and what
17.
he did. And college hockey, boys, college hockey, it ain't a boys' league. It's a men's league.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You got these kids playing major, junior. When they go to the NHL, they go from playing against boys to playing against men. Yeah. I saw Faber playing last night, triggering Minnesota's power or the Wild's power play. I'm going, guys are making seamless transitions into the NHL, and I really believe it's because they're going from a
23,
league with
24, 25 competition.
They're playing against men. They're going from a men's league in college to a men's league in the NHL.
Especially the defensemen. The defensemen seem to be the ones jumping in the NHL even more.
Great call.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I know it sounds crazy, though. So a 17 to 25, it is a giant gap. Explaining it to my kids the other night, I said, reverse it. It would be like a 9-year-old playing with Macklin Celebrini. That's the type of gap where it's insane.
That's right.
Yes.
8-9 year gap, It's just unbelievable.
No, he's it's incredible.
Well, I took Keith Kachuk. It was a great conversation with a grain of salt because he's a BU guy. So I got to he's a little biased, but he's making good points.
But it was fun. You know what though? I really enjoyed the people that got involved in that call. Because a lot of guys did.
There were not enough. There was like 5 of us who were going around and around, and there's like 30 people on the call,
and only 5 were participating.
Yeah, pretty much. Only like five or six.
Well,
people.
and it was a Zoom call, so you could see everybody else, and you could tell a lot of them were really enjoying it, but they were just spectating.
Sitting back.
But
I'm not afraid to mix it up with the big boys.
No, but it's a great debate.
Yeah.
And I mean, how do you when you the 4 or 5 guys, all 10? I mean, they're all terrific players. They're all great college players. And, as good as college hockey is right now, when you take the best 5 guys in college hockey, what's the degree? It's the small difference, the difference between them. Take the 5 best guys in the NHL or the 5 best guys in the NBA. I mean, there's the degree of separation is so, and also guys, minimal. The beauty's in the eye of the beholder too, a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what?
Yeah,
sure.
You're in that situation. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I watch. The thing is, I'm sitting there on this call debating coaches, so I have a lot of respect for, and they know way more than I do about X's and O's and watching games. But you guys don't watch as many games as probably I watch. I'm an idiot, and I'm a nerd, and I sit there at home on every weekend watching 12 games on my computer at the same time. So I've seen all these guys. I've watched Gauthier and Celebrini. You say it's hard for you to watch. You're just going by numbers, but I'm actually watching a lot of these games. So I mean, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying it's.
But Adam, don't think that
I'm going by impression.
Don't think that we don't respect greatly what you guys do and the time you put in. Hey, your job is to watch the whole body.
Yeah.
My job is to watch Atlantic hockey and try to survive that.
You got to be. You got to be tunneled. Yeah, you're tunneled.
When you were talking, when Keith was talking, when Scott Bell was talking, the NHL scouts, when Jess was talking, hey, you guys are on there for a reason, and no, you're your credentials stand up, just like Celebrini. Your credentials as
I'll
a
never
journalist stand on them.
I'll never profess to. I wish I knew X's and O's better than I do, but I'll never profess to know that well. But.
You know what though? Like you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
I remember I was working at North Dakota for Gino Gasparini, and I was going on. I had to go to Winnipeg to watch this kid play, and my wife's going, "You always get to go here, go there. You're always traveling." I go, "You
All
want
those glamour spots.
Yeah. I go, you want to go on? You want to go to
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg? You know, jump in the car."
Yeah.
So we go up.
-20.
So
Yeah.
we're driving up I-29 going to Winnipeg, and the wind is coming from her side.
Yeah.
Within like about 15 miles, that was before they had consoles. She's sitting right next to me. And I go, "What are you doing over here?" She goes, "Look at my window. It was frosted up and just frozen cold." So we get up to Winnipeg. We go to St. Vital rink, and I go in, and I'm young assistant, and I've got the line charts, and I'm writing every guy down and all that. And I'm sitting in there, and it's colder than hell in there, guys. It's colder than hell. And anyway, my wife's there, and she goes, I think I want to get some popcorn. So she goes to get some popcorn. I'm watching. I got all my lines. I'm doing everything professionally. And she comes back, sits down. All of a sudden, she starts yakking with one of the boys on the team's grandma. So she's talking with his grandma, you know, and she's. I'm going.
She offered him a full, by the way.
I'm going.
The grandmother, not the kid.
I go, "You better pay attention. You're going to get hit in the head with a puck and die right here in Winnipeg, in Canada. I have to deport you back across the border."
Terrible way to
So
go.
then she goes, gets hot chocolate, Carol, and Carol's here with me right now back here.
Oh, okay. There
But
you go.
anyway,
We should
so
have
we're
her
going
tell
there,
this story.
and she's talking with this grandma, blah, blah, and she's glancing at the game, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, toss me on the shoulder. "I kind of like that number 16. And it was Russ Romanuk. I mean, the best guy. Like
Russ Romanuk. Yeah, waiting to see who it was going to be.
So I don't care if you're a sports fan. You
yeah.
may not know a blue line from a clothesline, but you know
Intuitively, you can tell, right? Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I know.
Jump right out. You know when you see it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
No, that's what I always say about coaches, though, because just like when I judge, like if a guy's a head coach, I mean, there's almost everybody is an amazing coach these days. You know, it's very hard to out-coach somebody nowadays, right? Everyone knows, but like, you know, so what I judge it is just like, does this person communicate well? Do they get their message across to their players? Do their players get better? Like, I couldn't tell you if that person's running a perfect, 1-3-1. I have no clue. But like when I see a team, are they organized on the ice? Like, does it look like they're playing together? Those are the things I can spot. So
bad line changes, that type of thing.
No, but I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And I talk with my brother Monty. All of us talk, and there are no bad coaches in regards to X's and O's.
Right.
But who are the guys whose teams frickin' play hard? That compete.
Frank,
they never quit.
The
guys that know how to manage. They know how to manage people.
Yeah,
Great coaches now.
Right.
Yeah, hey, it's a given. You better know X's and O's.
Yeah, right.
But who knows how to manage people?
Yeah.
I think the one question that it comes down to, and I remember talking to, in particular, used to talk to Coach Quinn a lot about it, is the compliment that you want from other coaches is very simple. Is one comment you want from other coaches is your team hard to play against.
Absolutely.
That's it. You can cut through a lot of the other X and O stuff, but either you are or you aren't.
Yep.
And to get to that point and to try to aspire to that it's a big part of it.
Bernie, you're 100% right. And I tell my coaches and my players as we're going all year, you know what we want to be? We want to be the team at the end of the year that all the other teams in the league go, I hope we don't have to play them.
Yeah. Hope we don't see them in the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
you guys have been that team many times.
That's right.
It's been a few years now, I guess.
And you know what? And we don't win them all. And sometimes, hey, somebody's going to get us. But I'll guarantee you, it ain't going to be a pleasant experience.
Absolutely.
We were just talking with Yale people about your game in 2011 when they were the number one seed, and you kind of wore them out for their next game against Duluth. You took them to overtime.
Yes.
And I was in the building in 2000. Well, I was in the building that year too, but 2009 game. When you guys played against Vermont, right?
Against Vermont down in Washington.
I mean, that's to me, that's the best NCAA tournament I've ever seen, start to finish. Every game was ridiculous, but
that was when we made that Disney movie with BU. It wasn't really a game; it was a Disney movie. The game,
yeah, but we don't talk about that one. But you guys, I mean, I don't know if that's painful memory or not for you, the way that ended, but that was a tremendous game. I mean, that was a great game.
You know what I remember about that game?
I mean, it was the Michigan game first, and then the Vermont game.
And and we got through Michigan, and they had double-digit NHL draft choices, and that that's a great memory for me because
Yeah.
I'm one of the few guys that's going to go to their grave with a winning record against Red Barons.
And honestly, it wasn't even like they outplayed you. You guys dominated the last half of that game. They did nothing. They did nothing in that game.
Talk about putting the cuffs on them. They were locked down in that game.
And then the Vermont game, we're playing Vermont, and we were a 4-line team, and that's how we were built. And we wore them down, and we be stronger in the third, win the games in the third, survive the first, win the game in the third, type of thing. And Vermont had been playing 2.5 to 3 lines the entire game. Their guys were cramping up on the bench, and we had taken that thing over. And if you'll go back and look at that goal, it went through the net. By the way,
that's it.
One of their guys cramped up, and he was limping, and he was late getting off the ice. And that big defenseman came off the ice and came into the zone, and the puck went right to him. And our center lost. Well, he lost him because they only had 4 guys in the zone, and he came on late. And actually, it was Jacques Lamoureux that was on the ice. And
the aforementioned 33 goals.
Yeah, he's looking for his man, and by the time he saw him started to move to the point, and it was all just timing. The puck just happened to go out into an area. He stepped into it and pounded it. But as you can see, that was and the Frozen Four was in Washington D.C. that year.
And it would have been with your brother was there.
Of course, my little brher had to make it. And I did.
Beat Cornell, another devastating Cornell loss there.
But how great, I said that was we've lost 3 region final games all by 1 goal. One to Harvard, one to Duluth, and then in that game to Vermont. As you can see, boys, I'm freaking over it. As you can tell.
No. That's why I brought it up.
If we have anything sharp,
that's what psychotherapy is all about, Frank.
Yeah,
that's right.
But you know what? They were good moments, and I wanted you to be able to at least remind everybody that you guys were in some big games.
And you're a Cornell guy. I'll tell you what, you got to be proud of the job. You got to be proud of Schaaf and the job that he does year in and year out. And the transfer portal, this COVID 5th year it's killed the service academies and it's killed the Ivies, but somehow Schaaf has managed to survive it.
You mentioned the 3 regional finals. Cornell's been in 7 of them in the last 15 years, and they've lost every one of them by like 1 goal over. I mean, it's excruciating.
But they're there.
They're there all the time.
And
he does an amazing job being there.
And when you look again, which ones ain't like the other ones? Hey, I don't care. These blue bloods. Hey, the Big Ten right now. The Big Ten is a team. It's a league of all-star teams right now. It is. And then you've got BU and you've got BC and of course North Dakota and Denver have their own pedigrees. But hey, the way things are, they've professionalized collegiate athletes, the NIL money, the transfer portal. Hey, the good players ain't going down the food chain. They're going up the food chain. If a good one's going down the food chain, there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a bad guy or whatever it is. But no, and all these teams now are they're also well coached as well too. All these programs, all the big programs are being managed so well.
Right.
It's going to be hard for one of the have-nots. It's going to be, hey, to be honest with you, it's going to be so hard. Hey, Mike Hastings with that Mankato State team 2 years ago, as good as they were, they couldn't win 4 games. They won 3, and they had Denver on the road, but they couldn't go. And I go, if that team can't run the table, and QPAC did it last year, and teams like QPAC, they've done a good job with the 5th-year seniors. Western Michigan's done a good job with it. Wait till those go away. Those teams ain't going to get closer to BC and BU and the Big Ten schools. They're going to get more. They're going to get closer to us, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. That's what the direction it's going in.
Yeah.
Frank, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure,
really
guys. I appreciate it, and I thank you. I love you guys, and love all. Thank you for all you do for college hockey.
Thanks, Frank. We're like a confessional for coaches. Coach Parker said he never got over the 91. You never got over the Vermont game. I mean, it's all part of it. That's what therapy's all about.
That's right.
Glad we could provide some.
Nope, you did.
Frank Serratori.
Yeah, thanks.
Air Force head coach, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We got another one to drop. And I'm going to call my next witness here.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm going to call my next witness.
I got your light for you here.
Okay, let's see. We're going to have to read the number here.
Thank you.
Our ticket raffle.
There we go.
All right. All right, what do you think? Should I pick one now, James? All right. James is saying, go ahead and pick one.
We didn't get one that fell on the floor this time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, for the tickets, Frozen 4 tickets, 622-3309. 622-3309 is a winner. Okay, we'll track down. And I'm going to bring in my next guest. We're very happy to have with us.
We'll get there eventually. We will give the tickets away.
And we will give the tickets away, exactly. I think these people have been drinking too much AlcaChino, and then they don't realize that they bought a raffle ticket several hours ago. Once again, Hockey on Campus, and there's a special presentation on College Hockey News on CHN. If you're listening worldwide right now, presented by AlcaChino. Premium boozy lattes, real ingredients, real spirits, because coffee is the new buzz. Very pleased to bring in a guy that's got some experience as a player. We talked to him recently on Hockey on Campus, and now, of course, he's an administrator. He's the director of athletics at the University of Vermont. I addressed him. Can I address you as the chair? We're going to address the chair now. The chairman of the NCAA Hockey Committee 2024, Jeff Schulman. Jeff, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bernie. Great to be on with you.
Well, Jeff, this has really been a celebration here with everybody. What I aspire to is have a celebration of college hockey. We've had multiple guests coming and going and bringing them up, and the agreement seems to be that what we, I think, are about to see, the perfect storm, if you will, in terms of the 4 teams that are here. As Coach Parker likes to say, brand name college hockey, 28 national championships between these 4. The 4 top scoring teams. You're an old. I'm not going to say. I shouldn't say old. You're a defenseman. Old defenseman. I guess a couple of years older. Seasoned defenseman. Seasoned veteran defenseman. But we've got the 4 top scoring teams in the NCAA this year. I think what we're going to see is going to be really special. You've got to be very, I think, proud of this tournament to this point and the field that we have on display.
No question. They're 4 marquee programs that have had great seasons and so much talent in terms of the players and great coaches, and of course in a city that celebrates college hockey every year and all year long. And so it's set up for a great Frozen 4. We as a committee, we were really excited about the regionals and great hockey, great games, great venues, and it's set up super well for an awesome weekend of college hockey.
We came and we talked. We had you on Hockey on Campus talking about the regionals, and there was a little trepidation about some of the things relative to the regionals. But the way that played out was a winner all the way around. Really, just absolutely. I mean, as far as the 4 venues, the crowds, the atmosphere, the buzz. I believe you were in.
I was in Maryland Heights.
You were in Maryland Heights. You were headed to Maryland Heights. Yeah.
Yeah, it really did work out well, and it's something that as a committee we've prioritized certainly the last several years, and we obviously have bracketing parameters that we follow that are important, and we obviously want to make sure we protect the integrity of the tournament. But at the same time, part of a great national championship and a national tournament is having exciting regional events, and so we do look at that as we're bracketing teams, and I think it played out well. Obviously, not all of it is in our control in terms of the teams that ultimately get in the tournament. But once we have that group of 16, how we place them, one of the considerations is certainly the atmosphere and the energy at these regional sites, and we had that this year.
Absolutely the case. And Jeff, as you come out of the experience of this tournament, the selection, all that goes into having a successful tournament, changes afoot. I mean, there's a lot of talk about format changes, and of course the regionals are a big topic of conversation. Dare I say it, it's working. I think that the college hockey fans have got to look at the way that it's worked and the way it's worked through this season and be pretty happy with what we have here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you look certainly at the last 2 years, we've been really pleased with the regionals. And again, like I said, you can't always control what venues submit bids to host and ultimately who gets in the tournament. But, as a committee, we all feel a big responsibility to make sure we're putting on the best possible national championship and giving the student athletes a good experience, and the fans and the teams and everybody involved. And so we take that really seriously, and we'll always be looking to make tweaks and to make improvements and talking to the college hockey community. I mean, as you guys know, being around it, people may differ in their opinions, but everybody cares about college hockey and wants to see what's best for the game. And we feel the same way as a committee, and we'll continue to talk to coaches and administrators and others. And if if there are tweaks that we can make to improve things, we'll certainly look at them.
And as we talked about also on Hockey on Campus, I mean, you bring a unique perspective because you played in the NCAA hockey tournament and now as an administrator. And when you look at what has happened to the sport and the development of college hockey, there's got to be a certain amount of pride there just to see where it's got at this point, where we've attained, the heights that we've attained with 33% of the NHL players now coming from the college hockey pool. It's remarkable what's happened over time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be proud of and reflect on in college hockey. And like you said, I played in the late '80s. I had a unique opportunity to both play in this in the NCAA tournament in 1988 as a junior at University of Vermont. We played in a total goals series at Bowling Green.
Yeah.
2 nights,
That's
total
right.
goals. We lost 5-2 the first night and had to come out and win by 3+ to keep playing. So it was a very different tournament then, but it was special for me as a student athlete, and now have the opportunity to be in a position to help promote the tournament and help it grow and see the heights that it's attained in NHL buildings year after year. I mean, it's come a long way, and so it's special for me, personally. And certainly anybody who's passionate about college hockey has to be pleased with where the game is right now.
Absolutely. Any questions for this witness,
Yeah.
Mike?
What was it like? What was it like over the course of the year up in Vermont? I mean, I was only up there one time. I think 2 years ago, I was up there like 4 times. My kid had 2 tournaments up there. But when I was up there in February, obviously the team was playing better. It seemed like there was some renewed energy just locally, like around town and in the building. What was it like this year? And obviously Steve got the extension. So you had to have been happy with what he did this season as well.
Yeah, I was really pleased with Coach Weidler and his staff and what they were able to accomplish in a difficult set of circumstances. But as you know, we have incredibly passionate fans who love Vermont hockey, love college hockey. Gutterson's a special building. Obviously, I played there.
Yeah.
And now in my role, I'm spent a lot of time in that facility. But yeah, I think we're going in the right direction. You guys know, and you're just talking about it, that the landscape around college athletics generally is evolving almost by the day, it seems, and college hockey is maybe not at the forefront of that, but is certainly impacted by that. And so schools like Vermont, every school, no matter where you are, if you're a marquee sort of program, Power 5 type school, or if you're a mid-major school like Vermont, or even a Division 2 or 3 school playing Division 1 hockey, it's time to take stock of sort of where you are in this landscape and figure out, all right, how do we maximize the potential of our program, be the best that we can be, but also still always be true to our values and who we are as an institution, what our community is interested in, what's affordable for us. So there's a lot going on, but I think Coach Weidler and his staff have done a fantastic job kind of moving us in the right direction. And it was obviously a great year for Hockey East, super competitive league. Great to see Maine and New Hampshire getting better, and hopefully we're doing the same. And our goal is ultimately to be back in the national tournament, competing for a championship.
How much does the community play a role up there too? Because that's something unique. Like the hockey schools in Boston, you're not getting maybe non-alumni fans that come into the building very often. I mean, every time I go up there, it's like it's an event around Burlington, not just on campus, which is unique in the league.
Vermont is a unique place in the college athletic landscape, in that we're the only Division I school in the state of Vermont. There really are no pro sports to speak of.
Yeah.
So Vermont athletics is a big part of the fabric of our community, and we have a long history of great support from the community. Our students are engaged as well, which is obviously important. But we're really lucky. I talked to some of my colleagues around Hockey East and America East, and they're envious of the fact that just night in and night out, almost regardless of how competitive our teams are, people come out and support UVM athletics. So we're very fortunate.
No question. My last question, just from the perspective of an athletic director and NCAA tournament committee, just came up about when the Hobie was first awarded, Jeff, 1981. It was, what we say, 34 teams, and now we're at 64 teams. So that's 4 decades later. Where do you see it going at this point, Jeff? Do you see expansion, college hockey? I mean, there's so many rumors about teams that are going to add the sport, and so compelling to add the sport. Do you see we're going to have another burst, if you will, of some teams that are going to be on the scene here and start to be able to take college hockey to Division I level?
That's a really good question. I think it's very much interconnected with what is the future of college athletics. And college hockey is somewhat unique in that call them the high resource programs now, Big Ten and a school like BC a little bit, and those programs, they actually need the rest of us more than in a lot of other sports, right? That's something that's really different. And so I see college hockey sort of thriving in this new landscape. And, it's easy to complain about the direction things are going with NIL and transfer portal, but this is the evolution of college sports, right? I mean, people complained 15, 20 years ago about different things and how the direction was going. So, I think those of us who are in it, you sort of have a choice. You either sort of embrace this or you decide I'm going to do something else. And some people do that, and that's totally fine. But I think college hockey is super healthy right now. And I think, I think there's athletic administrators at a lot of schools that look at what we have as a college hockey community and say, boy, I wish we had a piece of that in some way, shape, or form. How that actually evolves, it's a little hard to know. But I think the good news is, this is a great celebration of it. College hockey is healthy, and I think the future is bright.
We talked about it last year. I mean, I think it helps too when you get record numbers on ESPN like you did a year ago, and given who's in this tournament, the potential maybe for that again in sold out buildings. I mean, it's hard not to notice what's going on.
No, it's a great game. It's exciting, and the talent is better than it's ever been. And I think we're shaping up for a great weekend here in St. Paul.
We're looking forward to that. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Jeff Schulman, Director of Athletics, University of Vermont, and Chair of the NCAA Tournament Committee, joining us here. We're getting ready to close it out. And I wish I had a closer. Where's Kenley Jansen when I need him, right?
It's almost not. Wow, I didn't realize.
Is his back bothering him again? I mean,
I think he's one of the pitchers that is still healthy.
That is still healthy. One of the pitchers that is still healthy.
Not just position players, too. I mean, you go down the line.
There's a lot of health issues there, that's for sure. But not as Jeff pointed out, the health of college hockey here is robust, I think, and being proven here with everything that we celebrate, everything we've celebrated here tonight with the show. And I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody, but once again, I want to just
do. It's 9 o'clock already.
I can't believe it either. We're just looking to close out here, and
I'll be your reading light again.
But thank you. I was going to say, let there be light, and there was light. It's almost biblical with Mike McMahon. But we want to thank. We got a lot of people to thank here for making this evening possible. Probably start with the venue with Zamboni's on 7th, and if you're in the area for the Frozen Four, and even if you're not in the area for the Frozen Four, if you're in the Twin Cities area, check out Zamboni's
Shrine
on 7th.
Shrine Circus is coming up. If you're in the area for the Shrine Circus, come in.
Check out Zamboni's on 7th.
Burger was great.
Guys enjoyed the cuisine.
First time I've had a burger with pepperoni on it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very innovative.
Good food place.
Very good.
Want to thank Tim Mahoney once again, our team of former goalies.
I know.
Yeah, that's right. It's so far.
Literally across the street from XL100.
Staggering distance.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
They're onto something here. Tim Mahoney. We want to thank the owner of Zamboni's, recently opened and thriving here this weekend, I'm sure. Thank you. And, of course, to AlcaChino, the show presented by AlcaChino, as hockey on campus has been all season. Premium boozy lattes, real ingredients, real spirits, because coffee is the new buzz. And it's been a great buzz for college hockey here with everybody that's turned out. I want to thank everybody that has turned out, all of our guests. I'm going to miss somebody. Jess Myers, The Rink Live, Adam Woden, and presenting the program on College Hockey News. I think we're going to do one more drawing. Oh, okay. We got one more drawing. Okay. And we got one more ticket drawing also. So if you haven't won yet, we're going to do one more ticket drawing. So stay tuned for Frozen Four tickets.
You may already be a big winner.
The best seats in the house, we guarantee. And our final, 622-3333. 622-3333. You are a winner.
I was
James
holding
will track you down. Want to thank Mike McMahon, College Hockey News, Adam Woden, College Hockey News, everybody from Anthony Travaglia, College Hockey News, Avash Calder from College Hockey News, Jess Fina, College Hockey. All the College Hockey News staff turned out here in force here, which was great to see. And Jack Parker, Coach Emeritus, Boston University. Joe Britannia, can't possibly talk about all of his credits.
He brought the Richter Award.
He brought the Mike Richter Award. He gets full credit for that.
Mike, you actually won the Richter this year. I don't know how it happened. I voted for you. I'm just saying.
There's photographic evidence that I won it.
That you won it.
You did win the Richter.
Whoever takes it home on Friday.
Exactly. Frank Serratori, head coach at Air Force. Thank you, Jess, for tracking him down.
And good work, by the way, drawing Frank out of his shell. Once you,
yes, I was going to say.
Once you get
Wallflower,
him to chat a little bit, you know, he goes.
the wallflower that he is. Also, folks, just for the rest of the week here, Mike and Adam will be hosting 2-hour pregame.
Yes.
College Hockey News. Go to CHN tomorrow.
Yeah.
2 hours before
these-
face-off.
Which is
Eastern time.
I should know this. So we can go. Well, we should go Central Time because that's where we are. The first game's at 4 o'clock
Central.
So we'll be at 2 Central, which would be
3 o'clock.
East.
3 o'clock
There you
Eastern
go.
time. Okay, 3 o'clock Eastern
I'm not
time.
doing all of them.
If I could just say quickly too,
Yes.
if you
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
get
sorry.
enough Frank Serratori, and I know it's not possible to get enough Frank
Saturdays.
Serratori,
So-
Mick Hatton and I from the Rink Live are going to be broadcasting live from the arena. We're going to be on our Rink Live YouTube channel with
Okay.
Frank Serratori offering pregame and postgame analysis after,
Fantastic.
before and after all of the games.
Absolutely. So the Rink Live and College Hockey News 3 to 5 tomorrow, and then 4 to what are you going to be on? 4 to 6 on Saturday.
I don't even know what time the game starts
Whatever the
Saturday,
game
but
is,
2 hours before it
the
starts.
game.
5 p.m. Central
It's an
Saturday.
early one. I
Do the
think,
math.
yes,
Yep.
which I am
And
not opposed to.
And our 14th annual Hockey on Campus, co-hosted with Adam Woden, will be Hockey on Campus Championship Game Day. Will be from the XL on Saturday. So tomorrow will be on Saturday from 8 to 10. That's 8 to 10 locally and 9 to 11 Eastern time. So there's some great college hockey programming to get you ready for what should be some very compelling college hockey with the semifinals tomorrow and the 2 teams for the championship on Saturday. And thank you so much to James Garrison and to Allison DeWitt for helping out here and working with us here tonight and making it possible. And to Greg out. Greg, come on and say hello to the world here. We're going to bring Greg on to say hello. This is Mr. AlcaChino, Greg Howard from Howie's Spike Beverages. I don't know if he's been sampling any of his Spike Beverages, but Howie, just great celebration of college hockey tonight. Thank you so much.
No, Brent,
First
thanks,
annual, I think we
It
can
is.
safely say.
It's a new tradition.
It is a new tradition we've
Coffee,
established.
AlcaChino is the official coffee of college hockey.
Yes,
Why
it
not?
is. Absolutely.
Coffee
for
and
me.
hockey. It works perfect, right?
Absolutely.
No,
And
great turnout tonight, and really, what a fantastic venue here. Tim and his team put on a great show for us.
Tim
So
and
thanks
Bree and the
for-
rest
yeah,
of the team here.
Fantastic.
Yep, no question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So for all those that have been listening on College Hockey News, once again, you've got 2-hour pregame with Adam and Mike tomorrow. You got 2-hour pregame on Saturday. You got Adam and I co-hosting Hockey on Campus on Saturday morning. What more do you need to get you in the mood for some great college hockey? So this is Bernie Corbett, the host of Hockey on Campus. And as I always tell everyone, see you around the rinks.